What's that supposed to be?
This is a thermal detonator that I just armed.
That's a rock.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. And you just made a clicking sound with your mouth.
Please tell me this isn't your plan.
No, this is.
Oh, happy May the 4th, Bucketheads. Mayvar Tigar. Welcome to another exciting bonus edition of the Mandovision podcast. Again, it is May the 4th. We are here to celebrate Star Wars, which, again, we do every time we release an episode of the show, but it's May the 4th, and that requires more. That requires something special, and I think we've come up with a fun one for you all. So I'm really excited to get into this one. I mean, listen, you probably already looked at what we're doing here. It's on your feed. It's probably in the name of the episode. I can't wait to talk to you about Solo. I can't wait. I'm so freaking excited. But let's get to everything out of the way first. You know what you got to do? Find us on social media. We're at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. And hey, let's just put it out there right now. 5-star reviews. They're awesome. They're so helpful. We truly love it when you take the time to do that. Thank you in advance for doing so. All right, like I said, this is the May the 4th special Star Wars show. I'm sure there's 45,000 podcasts that are doing Star Wars May the 4th episodes today. And I'm so happy and thankful that you have elected to download, stream, listen to this one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I mentioned before, and as you probably saw in the feed, we are here to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story, the origin of my favorite character, Han Solo. And I'm really excited to get into this. We're going to talk with one of our good friends, one of our, we don't have a lot of collaborators on this podcast, but this one will be back for the second time. We're going to have our good friend Regan from the Come On It's So Good show come and hang out with us. And if things go according to plan, I'm going to be on their show for their May the 4th episode as well, also about Solo. So it's going to be an interesting conversation twice. We'll see how this goes. He and I are both curious how this is going to shake out for both of our shows. But we both had the same idea, and neither one of us wanted to change our minds. So we're doing it. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be a hoot. And let me kind of give a little backstory here, a little history of my time with Solo. And I'm sure I'll talk about this with Regan because I'll probably need to refresh his memory a little bit on it too. But a million years ago when Solo first came out, and I want to say that was in 16 or 17, I wasn't super enamored with it on my first viewing of it. It was a movie that had a lot of production issues. Everyone very, very famously knows about Lord and Miller getting fired as directors of the movie, Ron Howard being brought on board and reshooting, I think, something like 80% of the movie. One actor had to be replaced because he couldn't come back to do the reshoot, so they had to bring in oh my gosh, I'm already blanking on his name. Paul Bettany. They had to bring in Paul Bettany to be Drayden Voss in the new version, the Ron Howard version of the movie. So it was a movie with very public production issues. And I don't know if that sort of tainted my initial viewing experience, but I think also, like I've talked about on this podcast before, I think I also suffered from the burden of expectations. I think I had really, really high expectations for what I thought this movie was going to be. and it didn't live up to what happened in what I wanted in my head. I felt like at the time, I felt like it was a little too fan servicey. They were trying to fit too many things into the movie to like they had to explain like far too many elements of Han Solo's life in one movie. Where in my opinion, I was like, geez, just let it breathe. Just let Han be Han, and we'll get to all these things in due course. And I sort of felt like they needed to cram in a lot of extra stuff that I was like, I'm not prepared for this. Like, you didn't need to tell me why the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive engine is so quirky. Things like that. But again, that was me in a different place in a different time, and I had there were some stressors in my life at that point too that maybe were hindering my enjoyment of the film. But once the movie came out on Blu-ray and it became available to watch on streamers, I think it was on it was pre-Disney Plus, and I think I was watching it on either Netflix or Amazon Prime. It was on one of them, and I would just throw it on while I was doing things around the house or just kind of getting on with my day, because I was like, I think in my heart of hearts, I knew there was something in the movie that I liked. And again, even on the first viewing, even when I didn't like the film that much, I still liked elements of it. I still liked Alden Ehrenreich, and I still liked Jonas as Chewbacca, and like all the things were there. And it took subsequent viewings, and every time I watched the movie, I became more and more enamored with it, and more. I had more and more fun watching it, and so it became a movie that over time, over multiple viewings, really became one of my favorites, and I do really really like it. And I think one of the things I think gets overlooked, and we'll talk about this with Regan as well, is that it's just a fun Star Wars story. Like, not everything has to have the gravitas of, the Death Star looming over our heads, or the dawn of, the Skywalker saga stuff, or the dawn of the rebellion necessarily. Like, you can just have fun Star Wars. We're starting to see that now on Disney Plus with Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, and these elements to the show that like are, interesting and dramatic, but fun. Just really, really fun. There's moments of just pure joy and entertainment on those shows. And I think Solo did it first, and maybe in a way sort of helped set the table for those shows in regards to some of the tonal things that they were trying to do later on. So I think in many ways Solo was a bit ahead of its time. I know it only made $47 trillion worldwide, but apparently that wasn't enough for Disney to do a second one, at least not theatrically. I'm still holding out hope that maybe it'll be a Disney Plus series. Maybe we'll do that Underworld show that I've talked about for so long. I'd love to see that so much. But yeah, for whatever reason, it's still sort of regarded as this like redheaded stepchild of Star Wars. But it had a lot of things working against it. Again, it had very public production issues that maybe people were like, oh, well, this movie's gonna be crap then, so that it kept them out of the theaters. But it also, there was talk at the time of there being Star Wars fatigue, because it was only like, I think it was 3 months after The Last Jedi had come out that they put Solo in theaters, and there was like this sort of notion that people were tired of Star Wars, which I don't think was the case at all. Personally, I mean, the more Star Wars, the better. That's what we say in this podcast. But yeah, so there are some factors, and I think if people go back now, and I know I'm talking to the right people here on Mandovision, you all know this is a great film. It's a lot of fun. Again, you don't need that gravitas of the Skywalker saga. You don't need, Jedi and Sith fates hanging in the balance sort of scenarios. Like, you can just have a fun story set in the Star Wars universe, and that's what we get in this one. And again, it's a film that I think it's overlooked. It's not without problems. It's not flawless by any means. I don't want to go on to that. It still has a couple of little quirks in it that I'm like, I'm not the craziest about that element to this movie. But by and large, I am a fan of this flick. I like the things they did in it. I think Ron Howard came on board and told a really solid Star Wars story. Alden Ehrenreich is Han Solo. He's fantastic. Jonas Suntamo steps in as Chewbacca, and he's fantastic as Chewie. Woody Harrelson is Beckett. Emilia Clarke is Kira. Donald Glover is great as Lando Calrissian. Come on. Tandaway Newton is Val. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is L337. Paul Bettany comes in as Drayden Voss. Jon Favreau is Rio. Aaron Kellerman is Infin's Nest. And you got some great little cameos too. Linda Hunt's in this. Warwick Davis is one of the characters at the end. It's a fun flick, and I don't think we can have any more said about it at this particular moment without getting into the movie proper. And so with that being said, let's do that. Let's head over to our conversation. Let's link up with Regan and discuss Solo, a Star Wars story. It's time don't think I wasn't going to do it. It's time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
All right, course to Kessel is set. Plugging coordinates in now. Just keep your pinky on the yoke and try not to mess anything up.
Whatever you say, my lady. Just let me know when you're ready to jump.
Ready and... Ready.
It's just a simple jump to hyperspace and we're there. What's so tricky about that?
Plenty. Can't plot a direct course to Kessel. You have to thread through the Psychotic cluster and then pass through the Maelstrom.
You done flirting? I'm still ready.
You might want to buckle up, baby.
Joining us now, all the way from Laurel, Maryland, it's my good friend, my bestie, my BFF, my co-pilot for the day, Regan from the Come On Is So Good podcast. How you doing, brother?
Good. Greetings, programs.
If only Ryan were here to give us a hello there.
Yeah, a hello there. Or, a big eye roll. You guys don't get to see it a lot when we're recording. Get a lot of eye rolls from that side of the room.
Well, we are here to celebrate May the 4th be with you because, hey, May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. And it's a fun day for us Star Wars lovers to congregate and let it all out. Just be awesome Star Wars fans and put it out there on Front Street for everyone to deal with. Like,
That's right.
Look at us, world.
Hey, look at us.
We're awesome, and
Look
you're not.
at us.
And I love it. And today we're focused. We wanted to do something fun and different from the show. Break up the Star Wars Clone Wars rewatch and kind of, I don't know if this necessarily will heighten our anticipation for Kenobi, but I mean, come on, how much more heightened can we get?
Very excited for it.
Very excited.
Very excited. Can't wait.
But we're really excited to talk about what I think might be one of the most underrated Star Wars stories yet, and that is 2017's Solo, a Star Wars story with Alden Ehrenreich stepping in very admirably, taking on the role of Han Solo.
Yeah, he got a lot of hate.
He did,
and he does such a great job.
His performance is far more nuanced than I gave it credit for the first time I saw the flick. But every time I see it now, like, he just charms the heck out of me.
He's really good in it. And I hated him at first, too, because of who he was replacing.
Yeah.
It's not a good quality in me. It's something I'm actively working on.
No, I talk about that in the opening of the show, like how the first time I saw this movie, I had problems with it. And I think they were my own problems because I'm kind of set in my ways, and seeing someone else be Han Solo was challenging at first. And they kind of do some things in the film that I'm not crazy about. But again, there's something about this movie, though, that the more I watched it, when it came, especially when it was on like Amazon or Netflix or whatever it was, when it first hit streaming.
Yeah.
Before
Netflix,
Disney,
I believe.
And I would just watch the crap out of it, and it just worked its way into my heart. And now I can't let go of it. I really take a lot of enjoyment out of this flick.
I went and watched this with my wife opening day, as I did, back then with Star Wars movies when they would put movies in theaters. And I was not that excited about it after watching. I was like, it was fine. Mm-hmm. But when it came to streaming and I watched it again, I was like, oh, I really liked that. And then I watched it again a few months later. I was like, I really like this movie. And now it's in a heavy rotation. It's if you're doing an essential Star Wars, machete cut, it's definitely included in between the two, the first two trilogies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And if any listeners out there want to go back, I mean, if you go to the Tomcast Podcast feed, you'll find my initial review of the episode from when it came out. And I was with two of my friends, Jeff and Casey, and we picked a lot of nits with that movie. Because like you, when I first saw it, it didn't knock my socks off at first. I think I had to have a brain realignment, as it were, for my expectations.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy to admit my first take on this movie is completely wrong. Again, there's some minor things here and there, but by and large, this movie is really underrated. I think anybody who maybe watched it one time and dismissed it should go back and check it out again.
Absolutely.
Alden does a great job. We got a great new Lando in this, who's going to get his own show apparently. Donald Glover's amazing.
Can't wait for that. That can't happen soon enough for me.
No, you got a fun Chewbacca. We get to explore Han and Chewie's beginning of their relationship.
Yep. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Beckett.
as Beckett is great.
Yes, another character that really has worked his way into my soul the more I watch the flick.
Yes, you want more time with Beckett or a prequel. That's one of the things I don't like about this movie is you don't get enough time to really get to know like Val and Beckett and their relationship. I wish they had spent less time with, instead of just saying 3 years later.
Right.
Have Han, go a year later, and then he hooks up with Beckett and Val, and then two more years pass, and they're on the train job then. But they would have had a chance to build a bond instead of everything happening so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, have you watched the deleted scenes?
I haven't, but I've read the books, and I was looking at them today for the first time. I haven't watched it on Disney Plus yet.
Mm-hmm.
And all the deleted scenes, a lot of the deleted scenes, there's things I was going to bring up about the book. And I was like, oh, they shot them. I can't wait after this podcast to go watch them.
Yeah, because I'd really like to see the stuff. I mean, you can see them in the deleted scenes. Han at the academy.
I haven't watched it, but I was going to say there's a lot more Academy stuff in the book of him being a great pilot, but just crashing the fucking TIE fighters all the time.
Yeah, and they did a comic book series to kind of fill in that gap too. Did I get you?
Yeah, I cussed. I lost already. Like this podcast's like 8 minutes old.
But okay, so let me ask you this question, and because I think this maybe will help kind of shape why we had harsher first opinions of the movie. Is Han Solo your favorite character?
He's up there. He's one of the most iconic characters in all of cinema.
Yeah.
He's a, if you become like a Han Solo type character, you're pretty well known. So it's a hard. Is it Harrison Ford? Because Indiana Jones is also that type of character. And when they were going to put Chris Pratt in that, people were like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
I like Chris Pratt a lot. When this is Indiana Jones, like this is sacred, and I feel the same way.
It was. I don't want to say difficult, but it was definitely different to see someone else step into the role, and like I said, he just is so good in it.
Yes,
I can't undersell that enough. Like Alden Ehrenreich is very, very good as Han Solo. And I'd love to see more of it. I don't know if we'll get the chance or the opportunity, but you'd like to think with Disney Plus, maybe it'll happen.
You don't think he's going to show up in the show, the Lando show? When does the Lando show take place?
Well, they haven't said much about the Lando show, other than that supposedly Donald Glover and Billy Dee are both in it, which means we'll probably get 2 different timelines, which is exciting.
Right. Well, I think that's just going to be like Billy Dee being like, oh, I remember that time. And then, your flashback. I'm hoping it takes place in the same like Mandoverse for that 5 year
the 5 year period
after Empire after Jedi.
Sure.
That seems to be the sweet spot where they're going and they're telling all these stories. So right now,
what by and large, I mean, I guess we should walk our way through the movie a little bit. But like, what do you think of the opening of the film? Again,
I love it.
You love seeing. I mean, seeing Corellia for the first time, a place that we've only heard referenced, a couple different million times in different Star Wars materials, but our first time actually going to the planet. Very exciting.
Very exciting. The shipyards of Corellia.
Very cool, really fun.
But just you're sitting in the black, and you just hear the come on, and the spark.
Yeah.
And the speeder starting. Like it's so good. Almost did it again. It's really good.
It's really good, dude. It's really good.
I love it so much. And it sets the mood of a guy just flying by the seat of his pants. Not really coming up with plans. Just let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny watching the movie and kind of being like, yeah, I guess Han is sort of a by the seat of his pants kind of guy. His plans never really go right, do they?
Things work out for Han a lot.
They work out. I mean, and again, sometimes when we've seen Han in other things, like mostly the books, basically. Yeah. Sometimes he comes across as more lucky than good.
Yes.
I like it. This movie's a good balance of luck and good, of like him being skilled at the same time as lucky as well.
Yeah, like he's always been the best pilot.
Yeah.
Like he's that skill.
That skill.
So anything flying is skill. And he's always been a great shot, at least in the books. Like, remember the EU, he was an excellent shot with that blaster.
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually going to bring that up too, because you and I are also familiar with a different Han Solo origin story from the
love that story.
The old EU trilogy they did, and that was phenomenal.
Good,
if
man.
memory serves, it was written by A.C. Crispin, who has since passed away. But I think those books are still around. I can't remember the name of all of them, but it's like basically the Han Solo origin trilogy.
Yeah.
I remember one of them's called
like
Rebel
the
Dawn.
Corellian something, or
the Corellian Gambit, something.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. Something like that. They're a really good set of books.
Yeah, it's those books did a really great job of connecting a lot of dots, like showing like Han and Lando's relationship, Han and Chewie's, their feud with Boba Fett,
showing why he is like he is when he meets Leia.
Yeah, and that's I was going to bring that up with you too. I mean, we sort of still have a hopeful Han Solo at the end of this movie. We don't have like the kind of bitter, jaded one that we meet in Tatooine at the cantina just yet. So like, there's still so much more story to tell about this guy, and I do hope we get to that at some point, whether it's Disney Plus or something. Like, it's there, and I'm sure Aaron Rick would be stoked to come back and be Han Solo again.
I'd be so excited to have him come back and have it, an adventure.
Yeah, but
recast Princess Leia, like bring another Leia in. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
We don't need to de-age. Like, I'm over the de-aging or bringing back former people. Like it's. I'm glad Mark got to come back and be Luke.
Right.
Like, if they're going to keep playing in that field, I need a new person to play Luke, and stop spending all that money on that. You can spend it on other stuff.
There was all those great photoshops of Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, he's not making he's not shooting right now for them.
Yeah, he's got some time on his hands, right?
Yeah, like have him do some Luke stuff.
Going back to the movie, though, the beginning of the movie, though, one of my favorite bits is the confrontation with Lady Proxima after he's come back from that job and he's faking the thermal detonator.
Yeah, you made it with your.
He's like, you made a clicking noise with your mouth. No, I didn't.
And that's also, I think there's a delete scene for that, but that's also fleshed out a lot more.
Yeah,
like the tunnels and stuff, and the kids, and you find out like they both grew up there. Like, Proxima basically saved these kids. Mm-hmm. Saved might be the wrong word.
Right, yeah, it's more of a clever manipulation.
Took them, and it's still. I mean, they're not in constant danger, I guess. But they have to go out, and all they do is steal all day long and bring back the goods.
No, it's like a Charles Dickens book.
It's, thank you. I was like, that age-old tale.
Yeah, tale as old as time, song as old as wine, that whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it's got that sort of familiarity with it. We can kind of connect those dots. We've all read that Charles Dickens one, which his name's escaping me at the moment right now because I'm blending all 17 of them together in my head. But yeah, I mean, so it's a familiar story. Then we get another great escape, the chase out of Proxima's lair to the spaceport.
Awesome. In the speeder. Mm-hmm. I love the moment where he's like, watch this. And
they almost make it through, and they have the ship inverted there.
But when you're watching it the first time, you're like, oh man, he's gonna make it.
What's your thoughts on Kira as we're introduced to that character? It's like, I know they play her a little bit differently in the book. How do you kind of reconcile the book version versus what we saw on the screen with Emilia Clarke?
I've warmed up to the Emilia Clarke version. Mm-hmm. I did not like her when I first watched the movie. I was like, oh, this is just throwing a famous person from Game of Thrones in it. This is just what Terminator did, just putting her wherever. Was Terminator before or after?
I think it's after.
After, yeah, whatever. It's all doesn't. I was holding grudges against her that shouldn't have been held against her.
Right, unfairly so.
Yes, 100%. I was in the wrong. She's very good in this movie. The character is great in the book.
Yeah.
And you get more of her motives of why she, in the book, she's really kind of moved on from Han.
Yeah, she's kind of more calculating, right? Like
100%. Yeah,
Han's is sort of like
she's playing a game that he's not aware of.
Right.
And I don't feel that she's doing that until the very end when she sees an opening to kill Dryden.
I don't
And
know.
Dryden is great in this movie as well.
I know, but
So charming, like a charming villain. You could have me at hello.
don't get me
and
wrong.
I might serve you.
Like Paul Bettany is a charming, affable fellow that I am a fan of. But Drayden Voss was going to be a very different character in the Miller Lord version before they got terminated, to borrow one of your words, off the film. I'm trying to think the actor's name. He was in The Wire. The guy from The Wire who passed away recently.
Michael C. Not Michael C. Hall. It's Michael Williams.
I think it was Michael Williams. Yes.
Yeah.
Omar. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes. In Omar Indeed was going to be was Drayden Voss when Miller and Lord were still in charge of the flick.
Oh, I would like that. I'd also follow Omar.
I was very intrigued with him in this movie, but then when Lucasfilm had this sort of revolt against Lord and Miller and fired them off the picture, brought in Ron Howard, they had to reshoot a bunch of it, and he couldn't come back for all the reshoots. He was doing some other movie at that point, so they had to recast.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that like they weren't they didn't like his performance or something.
No, he just wasn't available. So Ron Howard went to one of his boys. Paul Bettany's done a lot of movies with Ron Howard, and so that's how Paul Bettany ends up in the movie. Basically, it was Michael Williams wasn't available.
So why were the other two guys fired, terminated, whatever you want to call it? What were they fighting about?
Basically, there was sort of the writers, the Kazans, the father and son team. Lawrence Kazan, who helped write Jedi and some of the other Star Wars stuff. I think he did The Force Awakens too. Him and his son wrote the screenplay for this. And they apparently they weren't fans of the way Lord and Miller were kind of like improving a lot of stuff and not sticking to the script necessarily. And then that coupled in with the dailies that they were sending to Lucasfilm, where Kathy Kennedy and the powers that be were just like, I don't know what this is.
Oh, that's not a great sign.
Not a great sign, but apparently Lord and Miller work very differently than the typical Hollywood team, and their track record speaks of their successes.
Yeah,
but Star Wars. I don't think you get too much rope to hang yourself with in Star Wars. And if your screenwriters are mad at you, and a bunch of other things are going on, and whatever, it was just decided that this isn't working. These people aren't happy. We aren't happy with what we're seeing. Maybe we need to part ways. So they brought in Ron Howard to kind of put it all together, but he had to do massive reshoots. So
I didn't realize that. I remember him coming in. I remember it being a big deal that he came in and had to come in and finish it. And, Ron Howard, professional, made a Ron Howard Star Wars movie.
Yeah. But again, like sort of his charms have sort of worked their way on me the more I watched the movie too.
Yeah.
I think part of the first time I saw the movie, I was really excited to see like a Lord and Miller Star Wars movie. And then I got like, I've seen a Ron Howard movie before. And that's kind of what I felt like I got this time.
First time watching, I thought it felt very safe.
Yes, yes, that was the word I used.
Very safe Star Wars choices in movies. Mm-hmm. And this one came out right after
Last Jedi.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a dark period for Star Wars and films.
For you, it was.
Oh yeah, it's not a great time. Of the last 3 movies that came out, this one has really grown on me.
Fair.
I mean, the other ones are not aging in my brain well.
I have quarrels with the last entries of the Skywalker saga, but yeah, I mean this one, and again, I talked about that. The behind the scenes stuff was very public, very publicized, very talked about how there's all these issues on the set with the movie, and I think that sort of hindered it at the box office because people hear those things and they're like, I don't want to go. It's gonna be a real piece of crap.
Or whatever. It sounds like they could barely get it made. It's not going to be great.
Right. So that coupled with again, like you said, sort of like a safe choice director to come in and bring this thing home. I think people weren't as excited about it as they were when Lord and Miller were first brought on. Because like I said, Lord and Miller have this track record of taking things that shouldn't work and making really great things out of them. So somewhere there's a Lord and Miller version of the movie that I'd love to see. But we never will because
they didn't shoot the whole thing. They shot most of it.
Just most of it. But apparently Ron Howard reshot about 80% of the movie.
Oh, so this is none of their...
No, apparently a deal had to be struck with like the directing guild or whatever, like who was going to get credit for the movie. So,
right. Yeah.
Because I guess you have to direct a certain percentage to get full credit as the director or whatever. But the some sort of deal was struck because Ron did like 80%. They would make Lord and Miller like executive producers of the movie still. So I guess they still got their name on there somewhere for their contributions to what was on what staged the film.
Like a producer credit or something.
Yeah. So that whole element's interesting.
Was it more like comedy based or like more?
That's what it sounded like.
Like more like ha slapsticky, like Han like trying to get by, but it's in a goofy way.
From what I've read, is like there's a lot
because that
of,
sounds very un Star Wars, and I get why Star Wars people were like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, I mean, again, I
can get that.
For the record, I wasn't there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just based off the various things I've read, it did seem to be that, but it also felt like they were going for more of like an Ocean's 11 heisty kind of story. So I don't know.
What that story's only worked 4 times just in the Ocean series.
Well, I mean, there's a great Ocean's 11 style book with Han and Lando. You can go read it. It's by Timothy Zahn. Check it out. It's called
Scoundrels.
Thank you. See?
I haven't read it yet. Because when I look at books now, I want to know if it's current canon or if I should waste my time and read an EU book I haven't read already.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because I still love the EU so much and I still know it so well that I have no problem dipping back in to read old EU stuff.
I've read some old, like I read the Darthbane Trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I just reread the original Thrawn Trilogy.
Nice.
And it was really good, except for I forgot about Luke drinking hot chocolate all the time. You're like, oh, get that hot chocolate out of here. I don't need that. Like, go drink bantha milk or something. Come on.
What if they had called it what's that drink from Deep Space Nine that you like so much?
A Ractigino?
Oh yeah, Ractigino.
I'd be fine with that. Make up a silly name. I don't want Human drinks in my Star Wars.
Human. Look at you.
Human. Yeah. Full Ferengi right there.
Oh my goodness gracious. Let's get back to the movie that we got though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was one of the things that I've softened my stance on this quite a bit, but I'm curious how it plays with you. When the Han is at the spaceport, that he's been cut off from Kira, she's been taken by Proxima's soldiers.
Yeah.
But Han's still trying to evade the stormtroopers.
Yes.
And he goes to the Imperial Recruitment Center, and apparently Han has no last name, so they give him one. How's that work for you?
Hated it when I first watched it. I was like, that's dumb. It's better in the book, not much. But it makes sense in the book because he grew up as a kid on the street. He's a street rat.
Right.
He never knew his parents were gone. I think he knew his parents, but they were gone. Anyway, he doesn't know his last name. Like it's all a real thing. And the loss of Kira, because he thinks she's going to be probably murdered.
Right.
So he's a little more upset then. He's just like, whatever, it doesn't matter what my last name. Like, I need to get out of here so I can get back. Let's just move it along. I don't think it plays great in the movie, but it's not even the thing that bothers me about old Han Solo lore the most. The gun thing that comes up later when it's just tossed to him.
Right.
As like a piece of trash, like, I just use this gun. When in the old EU, that's like his most favorite possession. Like,
right.
Don't touch it. Don't look at it wrong.
We're of course talking about Han's famous DL-44 blaster. So good. Iconic.
Yeah. It's one of the most famous weapons in all of sci-fi.
Used to have a toy one when I was a kid. It was awesome. Back when you could have them painted fully black. You didn't have to have orange on the ends or anything.
Yeah. I mean, have I looked at them on Etsy? Like people 3D printing them so I can have one behind me? 100%. They're a little pricey.
How much are those going for? How much are those going for? Come on.
Like a good one? Like $150, $200.
Ouch.
I know, just for something that's going to be behind me that 3 people on a podcast see. But I'll have it one day.
One day it will be mine. One day. Oh my! Now Regan's holding a lightsaber up on a podcast.
That's right. I just wanted to show him, just like Darth Maul, I'll put a lightsaber in this.
Just gonna wave this around the hologram.
It's real. Yeah. It's really scary. Lightsaber holograms are terrifying.
Well, so I've not read the adaptation, the book, which is like an expanded edition novel. So you have more. So let me ask you this question this way, because I have also, like you, I have softened my stance on Solo being named by an Imperial recruitment officer. I have softened on that. The only part, the time that it still bumps up against me is later on in the flick when he's in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with Lando and talking about the YT-1300 freighter that they're on and how
my
Han's
dad
worked on him. I was like, well, wait a second. If you knew your dad, why don't you know your last name, bro? Or is there more to it? Like, do you have this information?
No. That's a good point out, Tom.
Okay.
I don't remember that part of the book. I thought you were going to go when he gets introduced when they're meeting Dryden, and he's like, "This is Han Solo," and Kira's like, "Solo?" She gives him a look in the movie like, "Oh, that's a weird last name, but okay."
She does.
It works,
right? No. I wanted to know because again, that's the part where the first part doesn't jive.
So.
It's like, wait a second, you're talking about your dad though, bro. You mean Dad never told you your last name?
No, I think his dad goes out for a pack of smokes or something.
Is it one of those situations?
Yeah, he's like, I got to get some Corellian smokes. I'm, working down at the shipyard, the manufacturing yard. I got to get out of here.
And again, those are basically like the two nits that I still sort of bump up against sometimes, but not nearly as much as I did the first time around. And I'm totally okay with it. It's just sort of, I hear it and it just sort of strikes the ear wrong.
Would you have preferred it?
I've moved past it.
Would you have preferred if Lady Proxima had given him that name because she found him alone, so he was Solo?
No, I mean, again, it's like when
it's basically the same thing, but it's a character who at least knew him.
Well, I mean, again, Han's sort of portrayed as like a runaway, right?
Yes.
Most runaways do know their names, or they've made up a whole new identity for themselves to escape whatever they're getting away from. So
That's
it's
true.
just sort of
he can make Solo up on his own.
Yeah, it's just sort of an interesting choice.
Because it does sound really cool.
Yeah, it does. And to think like some random Imperial dum-dum gave it to him.
Yeah.
It's like
on the, on the A end of Corellia, because that's something that's in the book is the Imperial agent they're bribing.
Right.
And the book is just basically like, bribe me and get out of here. Like, go through the thing, put it in.
Right.
I don't want to get caught. Like, get out of my face. People are gonna no, just give me the money. I don't care about you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and going back to the books too, or the old EU even. I mean, Solo does have people, but they've thrown that all out in the new canon here. So, no evil cousin. That looks a lot like Han, but he had to go T. I think.
Right now I remember. Oh man,
yeah, Thraken Sal Solo.
Terrible. It was awful.
So in some ways, the new canon's working out pretty nicely because you are disregarding some things you don't need in Han's backstory.
The EU played fast and loose with a lot of stuff. They had a big playground. They had to fill it up with characters.
They could do whatever they wanted.
Bosco Felia, he hasn't shown up. We haven't seen a single Bothan.
Oh my gosh, I got into a huge thing on Twitter about this because I'm like, where are the Bothans? I guess they all died in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine killed them all.
They got those plans.
When she said many Bothans died, she meant all the Bothans.
All the Bothans died.
Yeah, that is something I have noticed as well in the new canon. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, I read 3 new canon books. They're not even mentioned one time as being anything anywhere ever.
Nope, nada.
Are there battle droids? Yep.
For some reason.
Bothans? Nope. Nobody knows what a Bothan looks like.
No, the new canon's very interesting, and somebody at Lucasfilm was quoted as saying that the new look of the Bothans hasn't been decided upon yet, and I'm like, what does that mean? Why do they gotta look new? I don't know. Whatever. That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll come back on and we'll just talk about random EU characters.
Yeah, we'll do a special episode. Where have all the Bothans gone?
Yeah.
Then we're gonna get Paula Cole and say, "Where have all the Bothans gone?"
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Come on. Back to the movie.
Yeah.
Because why would we not get sidetracked 5 seconds into the movie?
At least it's Star Wars. It's gonna sidetrack us.
Yes, 1,000%. But so we skip Han to the Academy, but we catch up with him as infantry on Mimban.
Yeah.
What do you think of this sequence? This is also where he first meets up with Beckett and his crew. But how do you like seeing Han in the infantry?
I love it. I love he's like, oh, this is it's a real Saving Private Ryan. Just a chaos, fog of war. And you could tell he's already a bad soldier.
What I really liked about it was like we're seeing like a very general Imperial infantry here that sort of supports the idea that stormtroopers are actually kind of elite. That even they don't get they're not going to muck around in this thing. They're not storming the beach at Normandy. They're not doing
Their
that.
uniforms are white. They're not getting in that mud.
No. So you
The
have like
bill alone.
yeah. So we're actually seeing like the real Imperial grunts. Like the real boots on the ground kind of people. And again, you sort of get that mystique that the stormtroopers are more elite than maybe we'd been led to believe. We have been told this, but we never really had seen the guy who's on the GI Bill trying to just get money for college.
You assume that those guys become stormtroopers, like when you sign up.
Maybe
you have to get through a certain amount of work, like battles and stuff, and prove yourself.
Yeah.
And now we'll give you some armor.
Yeah. But I do like the sequence quite a bit. I mean, I love how we open up and it's just soldiers flying through the air, people exploding everywhere. It's a really good sequence.
Yeah, it's very good.
But again,
and then you get that hero moment of Beckett and his crew coming over the ridge.
Yeah.
Just
twirling the gun, shooting people.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a really great moment. It's a great way to introduce that crew, which again, in you see it in a deleted scene, but at a certain point, that crew is 4 people, and then all of a sudden it's mysteriously 3.
I was going to bring that up because he's a much bigger part in the book. Not a huge part of the book, but he talks and stuff.
He has lines.
Yeah, like he talks in the book, and I was like, "What? Oh, they just cut all of that guy's stuff out.
Yeah,
like him dying and like saving their lives."
Oh, see, in the deleted scene for the film, like you see him die, but you don't. I mean, you see him fighting with them, but you don't see. I don't think he's like.
Oh, you don't see him die. Like he saves like Beckett. Or like pushes him out of the way or something, if I remember correctly.
Oh, he might do that. And it's a little muddied in the movie. I couldn't tell if it was him or if it was Han who did that.
Yeah, like he was like an Imperial who was just trying to get off the planet.
Okay.
And, he was like, oh, I'll get... That's where like they get the code for the ship.
Ah, see?
It's from this guy.
More information that I didn't have before.
Yeah. So, because that's something that always bothered me before reading the book is, where'd they get codes from? I assume you can't just walk up to an Imperial vessel and fly off with a Star Destroyer.
I mean, you leave the keys in the ignition? I don't know.
I mean, I know I've read EU books and people are just rolling around in Star Destroyers all the time, but I assume they had codes.
They did make it seem like stealing a Star Destroyer is pretty easy in the old EU.
Yeah, everyone had one. Like, you weren't cool if you didn't have a bright red Star Destroyer. You were nothing.
That was only Corn Horn's father-in-law. Come on.
No, it was good though. It was a good cut.
But I also like the way the Beckett turns on Solo and kind of like, it's like, oh, you can't rat me out for this because these people think I'm a captain and you're nothing. So, hey, guess what? Guess who's going to the pit to face the beast?
No, my favorite part is Val is about to shoot him. He's like, don't shoot him. Snap his neck. It's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
And then just leaves it at that. You're like, oh, these people are not to be messed with. And then he immediately tries to turn on them to blackmail them.
Yeah. It's great. And again, we have... It's such a unique introduction to this crew that we're going to end up spending more time with. We haven't seen Rio yet. He's still disguised as a infantry stormtrooper kind of guy.
Yeah. Love it. Love Rio. Like, you fall in love with Rio immediately. And I could see him being much more comical in the other version of this movie. Maybe there's more Rio in the other version that's cut out.
I don't know. It's funny. I don't think I've come across many interviews with Favreau talking about it too much. But it's funny. Also, at this point, like Favreau is just like a Star Wars voice guy.
Yeah.
Because he'd been on the Clone Wars 1,000 times, and then he does this voice, and it's like
he's running it.
And now he's running. it. Like apparently, you can start low in Star Wars and work your way up. All you gotta do is make some successful Marvel movies, and you'll be in charge of Star Wars in no time.
Yeah, being Spider-Man. And I'll be like, you know what? I like Happy Hogan. What, can he write? All right, good.
What does he think about
guy in here?
Wait, he voiced the Mandalorian? All right, I like where this is going. Here we go. Yeah, so I guess we'll just go to let's go to Han and Chewie. The meeting, the debut, the friendship, the last of the lifetime.
That's right. The
Wookiee
life debt
debts.
friendship.
Yes. Again, they never really talk about Wookiee life debts, though, do they? Does that come up in the book at all?
No. I kept waiting for it.
So I wondered something.
And I'd be like, oh, that's where he saved his life there. Is that the life debt? Where he's like, I can't leave you now. No, he tells Chewie to leave all the time, and Chewie leaves sometimes.
So I wanted to ask you about this, and again, you, like me, are an old white man. So our view on this might be different. We may not know about the youth culture.
Don't cancel us, please.
Right. So that's what I'm asking, though. Is can you not say life debt anymore? Is that too strongly tied to like servitude, in that the Chewbacca is some kind of servant of Han Solo's?
I don't think so, because Chewbacca is choosing to honor it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not being forced upon. Like, it's not like Han's like, you know what? I heard about this life debt thing. You're going to serve the life debt to me.
This isn't like the last season of Cobra Kai with Terry. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. With Kreese turning the screws on Terry Silver every 5 seconds. Remember that time I saved your life in Vietnam? This isn't that.
I know. Look, just go in the snake pit next time, I guess.
Yeah, so I just I thought it was interesting that life debt never came up. And obviously, Disney's very sensitive to anything perceived as controversial. And so I sort of wondered if they kind of wanted to hush up life debt, even though you and I
maybe.
get the honorable aspect of it. And I think most Star Wars fans are smart enough to do that as well. But, again, Disney being Disney was like,
I always saw it as more of like a samurai.
Exactly. Well, and that jives with Star Wars, right? I mean, that's the roots of Star Wars. So it makes sense to us as like an honor thing.
So now he just stays with him out of friendship. And I like that as well.
I'm okay with that too, honestly.
Yeah.
I just
they
was
don't
curious.
need a reason to be friends. They can just be friends.
I don't disagree with you at all. But since you and I are so immersed in the EU, we know all about the Wookiee life debt. I just thought I'd ask you. When did your 2 cents?
Well, when is that satisfied? Like, speaking of the old EU, like F Lord, when is my time?
Well, I mean, listen.
He's done so much to save Han Solo's life in that EU.
Chewie meets an unceremonious end. He does.
He saves Anakin Solo.
Yes, but he also has a moonfall on him, which I guess is like an epic way to go.
Great death. The only thing that could kill Chewbacca is a moon. That's no moon. No, that was a moon. Trust us, Obi-Wan. Trust us.
That was when the life debt was satisfied.
How upset people were that Chewie was the first to go, and that series is so good.
I remember when your brother's friend told us about it before we got to finish reading the book, and
we were standing in line at a haunted forest.
That's correct.
And he was like, "Did you hear Chewbacca died?" And we're like, "Hey, man,
spoilers, bro!
Yes, tomorrow. What are you doing?"
You and I were so mad, Ed. We have not forgotten.
Ed, love you. Love Ed 209.
Oh my God.
Oh, I remember that haunted forest. Like, I remember that.
Oh, it's seared in my brain as like one of the most traumatic moments of my life.
Before spoiler.
Yeah. Before spoiler alerts, we had a spoiler alert. Oh my goodness gracious. So I really
bring the Vong back, by the way. Bring Vong back. Disney Plus. Like, let's go. Giddy up.
I mean, if you were more active on social media, you could start that hashtag and get it trending.
All right, I'll get on with my producer. Be like, make this happen.
Yeah, I don't even think he shows you the stuff I send to you, so I gotta talk to him about that.
He might. I don't know.
I really enjoyed this introduction of Chewbacca. I love them fighting in the pit. There's a great extended sequence of it that you can watch on the deleted scenes as well. But I thought this was a great way for these two characters to be thrown together and sort of form this partnership with each other.
I mean, my favorite of that is when they're in the shower after the fight.
I was going to tell you.
You just see the Wookiee feet come in. He's like, oh, man, come on.
He's like, we couldn't do this. You couldn't do this separate?
Yeah. Well, in the book, there's a scene later on. Like, they take that first shower, and then they get on the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And, Chewie's like, my underfirst feel messed up. And Lando's like, you know what? I'll let you use my shower, but let me get in there real quick and get my expensive soaps and things out of there. You can use the trash. And like Chewbacca just pushes him out of the way and uses all his expensive soaps and lotions.
Nice. I bet he's got a really shiny coat now.
Yeah. Oh, they said he smelled so great. But he used up it was the last of the lotion in the universe. It cost him so much money, and Chewie's just squirting all over his head. It was brilliant. It was one of my favorite part of it was a very, very silly part of a Star Wars book.
Well, you'll enjoy the deleted scene of Han and Chewie having a snowball fight.
I saw that was on there. I was like, man, I got to watch these deleted scenes.
They're great.
Unfortunately, I got a little busy this week and
No,
a little behind the eight ball and couldn't watch all the deleted scenes. I barely finished the movie.
Well, again, you and I have both seen this movie a lot over like the last few years.
Yeah, well, that's why I was like, I could probably do this blind, and I did just read the book like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of why we're doing this episode for Solo, because like since it came out, like you and I are both in the same boat. Like we watch this more now than when it first came out. Like this movie has really worked its way into our hearts and souls, and the people who judged it after one watch, you're missing out. Go back. This has got so much fun stuff in it, and you know, another element that I think I've mentioned earlier was maybe I wasn't quite prepared for a movie that didn't have like the super gravitas of the Skywalker saga or like of the impending doom of Rogue One. Like, no, this is just a fun adventure movie.
That's all it needed to be.
And that's all it needed to be.
Like, it doesn't need a lightsaber in it. It didn't honestly need to be tied to the rebellion like it is. It
doesn't need that. I agree with you on that. You know, Star Wars has a propensity for trying to tie everything back together to the Rebels or the Death Star or something, which is not great.
I think this stands as just a character building moment of a known quantity, where we just want to fill in the gaps. Like, we know where he ends up. We want to know how. Yeah. He doesn't have to turn down the rebellion in its infancy.
No.
To join it reluctantly again in 6 years or however long
whatever
it
whatever the timeline's going to be. You know, Han still has to go through his journey to get to that point where he's going to be in the cantina on Mos Eisley with Ben Kenobi and then Luke and everybody. Like there's still a lot of stuff I want to see them fill in at some point, whether it's on a Disney Plus series or another cinematic release. Which, we're putting this on May the 4th, and there's already rumors swirling. There's going to be some big announcement for a Star Wars movie at Celebration at the end of the month. So we'll see. Maybe Solo 2 is happening. Maybe someone's finally going to listen to us.
I think the movie we would get would be a Mandalorian movie.
You think they're going to upscale it?
I think it's Bo getting her own movie, and it's just the Mandalorian Wars.
You know,
it's not. That's season 3.
I'm such a big fan of the more serialized format on Disney Plus, where like you can spend more time with these things and let them breathe in a way that you can't in a 2.5 hour movie. So, as much as I want Solo 2 to happen, I want Solo 2 to happen on Disney Plus.
I agree. I think that Solo 1 would have been a great television show, but it came at a time when they weren't doing TV.
Yeah, they weren't there yet.
But this is the type of story that needs to take a little more time. And unfortunately, in a theatrical release, you don't have it. You got to go. You got to do the Kessel Run. You got to defeat Dryden at the end of this movie. You got to give the coaxium to Infant's Nest.
Yeah. Let's talk about coaxium for a second here, because again, something that sort of bumped up against me at first was the sort of the idea of like we're in a movie that's set before the original trilogy, and you're introducing a new substance that they've never talked about once. this super fuel. And I've sort of been like, whatever. It is what it is. How did you feel about coaxium when you were first told about it?
I just thought, okay, let's move on. Like it's just that MacGuffin. It's just the thing that starts the story.
Yeah, I do wish they had figured out how to work coaxium into more things at this point.
Yeah,
especially if it's worth so much.
Yeah, just mention it in like Rogue One. Mention it in Last Jedi. Especially during that long space chase. Be like, we're running out of coaxium. That's all you need to say.
Well, I mean, we know the EU, Han got in trouble with Jabba for dropping a load of spice, but that's not necessarily new canon. New canon could have been he dropped a load of coaxium now.
Coaxium, yeah.
You could...
Oh, so you're saying Han Solo is not going to be a drug dealer in the future?
I'm saying if Disney has a way, he will not be shipping drugs. He will not be muling for Jabba the Hutt.
I mean, at the end of this movie, he's going to go work for a gangster.
Maybe he draws the line at spice now.
I mean, indeed, like some wire stuff's going on Tatooine.
Maybe he saw his spice addicted parents die from spice addiction, and now he doesn't want anything to do with it.
And he's still going to work for John.
trying to make it work.
I know. It's okay. Han Solo does some bad stuff for a while. He's in a dark place.
He's so good at what he does that Jabba lets him get away with not shipping spice for him. He's like, all right, I'll get Bosk to do that for me.
He runs up bootleg
Not
DVDs
Bosk.
for
Bosk
him.
is a bounty hunter. We don't know enough smugglers. That's the other problem with Star Wars. We know bounty hunters, we know smugglers. We need to know more smugglers.
Well, we know Talon Card.
Yeah, he's more of an information broker.
He's a smuggler as well.
What about Dash Rendar?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think Dash Rendar survived that escape.
He didn't survive.
We've not seen him since.
Hasn't survived the Disney purchase.
No, Dash is gone. Like, you see his ship blast out of Mos Eisley and then explode. No one knows what happened to him.
Do you even play Shadows of the Empire on your N64?
I don't remember what happened at the end of it.
He makes his escape after post Empire Strikes Back, pre Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but we haven't seen him in 40 years. He's dead.
He said he's gonna go lay low on the outer in the.
You think he can keep a low profile?
Not with that haircut he had. Super 80s haircut for a character created in the 90s. Any hoot. So after we get Chewbacca, the crew's together, they're gonna go do the heist. What do you think of the heist? Robbing the train, the Imperial Coaxium's train.
I like the heist.
This is also our introduction to Infinite's
How are they
Nest,
going to do this with 3 people?
Well, I mean, you just uncouple the cars, right? You uncouple
It
the cars.
took 5 people to uncouple. How was Beckett planning to do this with 3 people?
And Val's at the front.
Was
She's gonna
Val?
blow the
I guess she
bridge.
was supposed to come back after she set the charge.
Yeah, she was supposed to make her way back, but she got
okay. So
held
it
on by
would have
the
been the
droids.
2 of them uncoupling.
Right.
It just seemed like a lot of moving parts for 2 people.
Well, I mean, the smaller the crew, the bigger your cut, right?
That's true. But if you don't complete the job, your cut is 0.
Well, when Infinite's Nest shows up and mucks around and blows up all the coaxium anyways.
I want to know how they were getting their information.
I would like to know this as well, my friend. I had this question when I was on several, basically for like the last 2 or 3 years. It's like, who was talking to them? Or, or was there a scenario where like, I don't know.
I'm sure they had somebody in Dryden's council or something.
Criminals.
They know that a job he hired Beckett to do something somewhere.
There is no honor among thieves, so like whoever's telling Voss this information is probably selling it to other people as well.
Probably.
And whatever money Infinite's Nest is making, they're probably paying for this sort of stuff. So I guess it stands to reason, but. I mean, obviously, you and I know how this movie ends, and everyone who's listening knows how this movie ends. But I mean, you definitely view them as villains, right? Like Infinite's Nest is like these marauders. We just don't know what they want the coaxium for.
Yeah, they definitely come off as like piratey.
Yeah. Is there any more?
And especially the way they're dressed, you're like, oh, you can't trust this person.
Well, I know, and you see that Infinite's Nest mask, and and it's a visor reminiscent of Boba Fett, and you're like, oh, we're kind of doing like a whole thing with Han and masked people.
Yeah, and the stun sticks, like the evil robots.
Yeah, like the Commander droids have
trilogy,
the Magna droids. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the Infinite's Nest has a great look. And for a big chunk of the movie, I'm like, what are they all about? What are they up to? What's going on here? And you're going to get all that information in the third act. And it never turned out to be what I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be a little bit darker than it was. Because, again, like you and I already established, everything has to connect back to the rebellion at some point in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we got sort of, sort of like the safe answer, I guess, instead of something a little bit more twisted, which is kind of what I hoped for. But I was wondering if there's more information in the book, since you had read it recently, about Infinite's Nest.
There's a great ending to Infinite's Nest at the end. There's something I like because it tied into Rogue One.
Oh, well, I guess we put the spoiler alert out there.
Yeah. Spoiler alert if you don't. I mean,
maybe they're reading a book right now. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. But the last thing is a ship lands. Saul Guerrero comes out.
Ooh, Saul Guerrero.
And you're like, oh, this is cool. And they talk for a second. He's like, there's someone I want you to, help me protect and take care of.
Oh.
And Jen Erso comes out.
Oh, cool.
So when people are coming after her, figuring out who she is, Infinite's Nest is going to train her and teach her, the ways of the rebellion.
Oh, I like that a lot.
I liked it. I liked it so much. And I was like, where is this novel or comic book or anything that tells these two people's story together.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get that like yesterday? Like, make it happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. That
It
sounds
was
incredible.
awesome.
Yeah, that's really great.
But there was more about, it got a little Baney with Infant's Nest. She was like, no one knew who I was before I put on the mask. My mother wore the mask, you know.
Was she born in darkness?
Yeah, she was, she was born in it. But she's I like the character much more in the book. But after reading the book and watching the movie, I like the character. Good character. More. But there's honestly too much going on in this movie for a movie.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's Londo and L3.
Yeah, we talked
more
about
of
them yet.
that.
Yeah.
Need more of all that. This movie is basically going to be the Snyder Cut. We need 5 hours to tell.
Well, and that was sort of
thorough story.
That was sort of one of my arguments. The first time I saw the movie is like there's too much in this. They really needed to like pull this part apart a little bit more, and
right.
let it have some breathing room. I've softened on the stance because I'm like, well, this is the movie, and I really actually enjoy all of it. So it is what it is.
But if you're going to, what would you take out? So that's like, I wouldn't take any of it out. I want to expand on it. Like, everything deserves to be there.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I was going to say about the deleted scenes too is like I like all the deleted scenes. I would have been okay if they were in there. I actually would have been okay if this movie was longer.
Yeah.
So
what I want more time with these characters, especially the original Ocean's 11 crew.
Right. Yeah, I mean they're done pretty quick after we meet them on Mimbin. They're disposed of pretty quickly, pulling the heist off on the train.
I think they're in this movie for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And Val dies very unceremoniously. They could have done. I think they could have done that better. I wish they had done something different with her ending. It was unfortunate the way that sort of came about, because like that was an interesting character who I thought kind of got shortchanged.
Yeah.
And I mean Rio's kind of the same way too. Honestly, like an interesting character who sort of dies before we need him to.
Yeah, and he's funny and charming, and it's something the movie needs. Even though Lando is charming, and Han is funny.
I mean, those two characters easily could have been part of the crew going into the heist on Kessel.
Yes, not everyone has to get out of Kessel. I get that,
right? And again, if you want to make another knock on it, I mean, Beckett's broken up in the moment when Val dies, but he seems to recover pretty quickly as he has to kind of. Get ready to talk to the Voss. I think he
just locks that up on inside.
Yeah, and that's sort of like who he is a little bit. But, when he's going to talk to Voss, he, like you said, he puts it in a box. Yeah.
And love this character. Like, they mention he kills...
Or a Singh. Great line.
Is that in a comic book or anything anywhere?
No, they haven't shown that. No, but it's such a great line where he's like, oh, I just pushed her. The kill folder, or the fall killed her.
The fall killed her.
the kill folder.
I loved it. I was like, oh, can I see like, a pre to Beckett? Even if they want to do that show, I don't think Woody is really up for another television show.
I was trying to think if there might be a Beckett comic that I'm not thinking of, but I can't remember.
I hope so. It's all the characters they put in this movie, I would like to know more about, and that's a rare thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like you said, there's not enough time with the characters. I think is the real problem. And again, but that's what happens when you make a movie with this much stuff in it. And like you said, I don't know if you can really pull it out, but I wish they had let it breathe more. Make it longer.
Right.
I wouldn't have cared.
No, what is the runtime on this? Like 2 hours and like 10 minutes?
If that, it's like I thought it was like 2:02 or something. It's
on,
and it's fast. It's a fast movie.
Yeah, you're going from place to place. Make it 3 hours. We're not gonna notice.
No, especially nowadays where Guillermo del Toro can't make anything less than 3 hours.
Oh no!
I mean, come on. I know Ron Howard doesn't care about editing. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick breather. Let us expand ourselves for a moment, and we'll come back and we're going to talk about Lando and L3 and Kessel. We're going to get into the whole back. And I guess we need to talk a little bit more about Voss and Kira in their current configuration. So we'll do that when we get back.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll be damned.
Hey, look who's back! Unbelievable!
Whoa, is that a Wookiee? Incredible. I'll say it, I don't care. This kid's growing on me. You know, we could always use some muscle on a job like this.
Don't even think about it.
I'm telling you, you will never have a deeper sleep than curled up in a Wookiee's lap.
All right, so we're back after our break and a small tirade about video games in between, and we're gonna pick up
all of them.
We're gonna pick up with I guess we should. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Kira and Voss, but let's kind of get to their formal introduction as they come to the planet. They're waiting for their coaxium, but obviously things have gone awry because Infant's Nest came and tried to steal the coaxium as well. Instead, they just blew up a mountain with it. That was a cool effect, by the way. Looked really good.
It looks awesome.
So we know coaxium, very dangerous, potent stuff.
Well, they've been screaming about how dangerous it is.
Yeah, but now we saw
movie.
it. Now we saw it. I did like how I think it's later in the movie when Beckett talks about how coaxium just going to blow them all to hell or whatever. I was like, oh, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
It made me think of Han Solo, you know, when Han says stuff like that, you know, when he's riding on the Tauntaun. I guess I'll see you in hell.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's picked up a lot from the short time he spent with Beckett.
You know, and it's funny too because at first, Beckett was a character I sort of chafed on the idea of this Han Solo mentor character.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I came around like Woody's awesome. He's fun. He's likable. He's the kind of fellow you could see Han Solo kind of connecting to in a way, wanting to be like, wanting to emulate in a sense. And
imagine it's been time together more than like 4 days or whatever it is.
Well, and I think that was sort of like part of my problem was like I guess in my head, and again, it's my expectations. These are my problems that I took into the movie with me. Was that sort like Han was sort of like a self-made man, like he sort of figured all this out on his own through trial and error. So the idea he sort of had like a mentor character was a new idea to me that I didn't warm to initially. But I definitely have come around on the more I watch the movie and the more I just like Woody's just really a fun dude. He's just I'd want to hang out with Beckett. I mean, I don't trust him.
Awesome to hang
I
out
don't
with.
trust him, but he'd be fun.
Yeah, he'll shoot you in a card game. But if you're just out having beers playing the Valacord, he's probably pretty cool to hang out with.
Pretty cool. Hey, and you know, it seemed like he was really trying hard to teach Chewbacca how to play Dejarik.
He was.
He really wanted to give him the proper lessons on thinking 3 moves ahead and being patient. And then you see Chewie do what Chewie does, and you're like, well, this is how R2 gets you.
Yeah. I mean, Beckett's lucky he didn't get his arms ripped off. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he was being so nice about it. He tried to warn him.
That probably infuriated him more.
He's like, don't do that. I told you not to make that move. Oh, you're making that move. All right, well, here we go.
During the prison escape, when the Wookiees are like attacking the guards, were you surprised you didn't see an arm get ripped off?
I mean, there in the elevator sequence, you saw 2 get ripped off.
Yeah.
And Han was very upset because that uniform would have fit him perfectly.
Yeah. I just think the adrenaline would have been flowing a little more at that prison break. There's so much gas. There's a bunch of Wookiees running around. It doesn't have to be Chewbacca's.
Honestly, with Disney kind of overseeing everything, I'm surprised we got the arms we saw.
Yeah. We do see Chewbacca, like, spike a guard on his head.
Yeah, right? Like, that was a good one.
Yeah, that is great. I was like, oh, that guy's now walking home.
I mean, that was almost a Tombstone pile driver for you right there. That would have been awesome. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Rest in peace.
So this is the first, going on Voss's ship. We're meeting Drayden for the first time, and we're going to catch up with Kira too, and see how different she is. And we're sort of getting our first connection to Crimson Dawn. You and I, big fans of the criminal underworld of Star Wars. How's this work for you? You digging it? I know you said you liked Voss, but how do you feel about Kira's role in it?
I like the floating palace thing he's got going on.
It's just like a raging party 24/7.
Yeah, apparently all the time, and that's in the book. They're like, oh, there are always people here just partying.
Yeah, it's like a floating Vegas
party
hotel
palace
or something. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing the governor of the town.
Of the region, yeah,
or the region, yeah. And that's just never talked about. He's just wiping a knife off.
Kills that guy.
That was unpleasant. Like, it's Paul Bettany's so charming in this. The psycho.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, I heard about Val somehow.
Yeah. Somehow. Again, somehow. But you're like, criminals. maybe they had to make contact at some point.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, the way he sort of is like pseudo sympathetic to you, or like, hey, how you doing, buddy? You okay, pal? Where's my stuff? I almost slipped. Where's my stuff at? Give me that stuff you promised me. So he's a serial killer, psycho guy.
Yeah. But the way he's like, I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah. You need anything, pal?
And then
just
we'll all be out of options.
Right.
Like the most
just turns on
calm
you and
threat that's ever been given. If you fail,
not a
we're
fan
gonna
of
kill you all.
and not a fan of excuses either. Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I like the Voss character a lot. Again, the part of me that's curious about the Lord and Miller version of the movie is very curious about what Michael White would have brought to the role, or Michael Williams, excuse me, would have brought to the role of Voss. And I assume, based off of his previous work as Omar and as Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire, he would have brought a lot more menace to it. Because that's an intimidating dude. That dude is intimidating.
Oh, 1,000,000,000%.
So Voss might have been a lot more threatening.
That is somebody you do not want to fail.
No, sir. Oh, speaking of failing, you remember he was on Community for a couple episodes as a substitute teacher? It still had the scar and everything. Woo. No joke.
And that plant grows through the crack. That's what he did right after The Wire. I remember.
But the version of Voss we got from Paul Bettany was really nice. I liked catching up with Kira and seeing where Kira's sort of progressed from being a scrum rat on Corellia with Proxima to this sort of enforcer role in Crimson
the top
Dawn.
lieutenant.
Yeah, like this is like a pretty big step up. But this may be a sort of a loaded question, so bear with me here. But like Han sort of goes back to that moment 3 years ago when they left and thinking they're going to reconnect right away. Obviously, like you were saying in the book, and I think in the movie maybe a little bit more subtly, Kira's clearly moved on and is a person with some plans.
Yes, she's still in the book like a slave.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
like Dryden bought her,
right,
and she wants to be free, and she knows that she can't. She still cares for Han in the book, but she knows she can't accomplish her goals being aligned with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Han is a means to an end, a way to get out from everyone everyone's thumb.
Yeah, she very much wants to be in charge. And at the end, like there's like she has more of a conversation with Maul at the end
in the book.
Yeah, in the book, because he doesn't know who she is.
Okay. Yeah, because
he only knows Dryden. Yeah, he's like, what's going on?
In the movie, they talk like they've hung out before.
Yeah, no, he had no idea who she was in the book.
Okay, interesting.
She's like, I'm this person. He was killed by Beckett, who he trusted, and I think he even still grabs the lightsaber, even in the book.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not? It's small. He carries it around everywhere.
Yeah, as one does.
I mean, once you know how to build one, you're always going to build one.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Right. I mean, look, I got it right here. Ha.
I've always been intrigued by the Kira character. I always hope to get more from her in a second solo movie or series or whatever like that. And I'm sure you are aware at this point that they've decided to continue her story in the comic books, which has been very exciting.
I've heard from listening to Mando Vision.
Oh, that's a great podcast.
Yeah.
Informative.
Yeah.
And
they tell me all about her shenanigans and stealing Han Solo's body.
Right? Oh, man. And again, it sort of underlines what you were saying about how she's moved on. And it sort of actually, when you were telling me this, it sort of helps connect those dots to how she is in that comic book series. Because, again, Hans is sort of a means to an end. It's a way for, he is a way for her to reestablish Crimson Dawn and have a relationship with the Empire.
Okay, that was my question. Was she doing it to free Han?
No.
Out of friend? Oh, she's doing it just for the cash. Only money.
It's the rise of Crimson Dawn time, and Han's just like he's sort of like the pawn, the unknowing pawn, because he's frozen in carbonite. Doesn't even know what's going on. but because she sees an opportunity. She's an opportunist and a survivalist.
I love that so much. I love the character. I want to see more of her.
Yeah, it was sort of
give her own show. Give us a Crimson Dawn show.
It was really funny timing because shortly before the comic book series had started, Emilia Clarke had come out and said like, "Oh no, I have a lot of ideas. I'd love to do more Star Wars stuff with this character because she's awesome." And then this comic book came out and I was like, "Well, they're doing it without you, and it's still awesome." Well, I mean, what you can do, write the comic? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but they could. I want more Star Wars TV shows.
Yeah,
there should always be on Disney Plus a show going on. If it's animated, a Bad Batch, something like that. It's Obi-Wan, Mando, Boba. It's like Kira now, Solo,
It's
Lando.
just like Poochie. When Poochie's not on screen, everyone should be asking, "Where's Poochie?" That is a reference. If you get it, bonus points.
Yeah.
I will not say from where.
Well, the internet is on computers now.
Another reference from the same show. But yeah, I really like the Kira character. But it is funny to kind of see her. I feel like in the first half of the movie, she is definitely more involved with Han, or at least more. More at least
she's
giving
more
the illusion
surprised
that
he's there.
Right. If she's manipulating Han in the beginning of the movie, she seems to be more emotional about it. She's much colder, I think, in the second half of the film.
Yeah. Well, when they first meet at this party,
right.
He puts his hands on her face.
Ooh, that's a weird move.
And you can see her looking around and be like, how can I get him to stop
touching me,
doing what he's doing?
Right. It's a bad look for me.
She has such an air about her.
Right.
And this guy is immediately going back to when they were kids.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with Han. Like, for him, 3 years hasn't passed, but for her, it's been a long 3 years. She's had to pull herself up from
bad things have happened to her.
And they expand on that in the book, right? Like, you kind of get more of like what's been going on those 3 years.
Yeah, when she goes back to Mother Shabubu,
Proxima.
Proxima, thank you,
Lady Proxima, not Mother Shabubu.
We had just got to reference the same thing over and over.
That's not canon.
Like it's the punishment is she's going to be sold into slavery, and that's where she gets bought by Crimson Dawn and ends up with Dryden.
Okay,
but apparently, when you mess up so bad in these gangs, the only value you have is to be sold off to the syndicates.
Okay.
So because Lady Proxima was so mad, she's like, "I'm done with you. I'm going to get some cash. You're probably going to die or worse." So Kira's had a rough 3 years to get to where she is, and she's definitely not that same kid who's telling Han to run.
Yeah, I mean,
although if she'd just given the coaxium right away, they're through that door. If she doesn't hesitate and try and strong arm it,
yeah, right. Can I bring up an interesting side note with you real quick?
Sure.
So those characters, that species we see, that Lady Proxima and the guy Moloch, they're part of the same species. The the Grindelids, I believe, is how you say it. In the High Republic, on Corellia, a much more nobler species, as they're sort of like the keepers of like the clean waterways of the Corellian people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like this book I'm reading right now, I'm like, oh, they're kind of like noble. So I'm like, what happened between now and then? Was it just the Empire?
I think it's probably like the pollution from the shipyards make the water dirty.
Like that. Yeah.
So they don't have a job taking clean, like all the water's filthy and gross. Yeah. So they start to take in orphans?
Or, again, maybe it's not representative of their entire species, but, I thought it was interesting that I'm introduced to these characters that I saw in Solo being very much more noble and for the good of Corellia.
How much before is the High Republic? Like 100 years before?
100, 200, something like that, somewhere in there.
Okay. So like one of them wouldn't be like Proxima,
right?
Doing noble things. Although don't know how long they live. Kind of would like it.
Don't know how long.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Like we're never going to see Proxima again.
Or are we?
Probably not.
No, probably not. Yeah, no, probably not.
Do you need more?
No, she's a low level. You know,
she got some sun in her face like a vampire and was like. And that's it. That's all we need.
Yeah, just like that. Oh my God, I know we're going backwards, but I actually really like the look of those characters. By the way, the Moloch character and Proxima, like they're very interesting to me.
His suit is really cool. How it automatically shuts down.
Yeah, because they're very, as we saw at Proxima, they're very light sensitive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Very cool look. Very, very unique. We hadn't really seen something like that in Star Wars, at least.
Right. Yeah, and it kind of goes back.
Big talking worm or whatever.
Right, and it kind of goes back to that sort of like Oliver Twisty kind of beginning.
Yeah.
For Han Solo, which again I like, but I'm a Dickens dork, so what do I? Of course I like it.
It's a familiar tale. I think it can bring everybody in.
Exactly. I think
You
right.
get what kind of story they're trying to tell at this point.
All right. So
I'm fine with it.
Let's shift gears here a little bit again, because now I want to talk about the next big duo for this movie, and that is bringing in Lando Calrissian, played by Donald Glover, and L337, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I don't know if you watched Dirtbag, but it's incredible.
I've heard it's amazing.
Oh my God, she's so great. What this duo makes me laugh the more I watch their scenes every time I watch this flick. Like, I can't get enough of them in these roles. Obviously, L337 has a fate that we're about to, will not have a continuation of her story. But Donald as Lando. Donald as Lando.
The book.
We can talk about that later. I got some notes about that, actually. I think I know what you're going to say. But, I mean, let's just talk about Donald as Lando. And sort of taking on, again, like Alden, has to step into like some really big boots.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
And just kind of takes ownership of it.
Crushes it.
So good. The scarves, the capes, all of it.
The mustache.
calling him Han.
Yeah.
It's just...
Oh. It all works. The Sabbath game is great, or Sabak, excuse me.
Yes.
Is awesome, both of them.
And I love that Lando's a cheater.
Well, yeah.
A card shark, perhaps, is a better way to term
it. Yeah. He covers all the odds. Yeah. Never tell him the odds. He's got them covered.
Yeah, that's why Han doesn't want to know the odds, because Lando's cheating.
Yeah, Lando's cheating. But when Han gets the card at the end of this movie and gets the Falcon, he still owed Lando a ship from the previous card game. Why did he give him the Falcon? I know he's supposed to, because we've seen him with it.
Does the first game become null and void because it was obviously like a Crimson Dawn kind of con? and so like he barters a deal via Kira to be like, nah, maybe not so much.
Maybe his 25% he gets covers the ship. I
do love how his stake gets lower and lower as the movie goes on.
What? That scene when the boots on the ship, the performance Donald Glover gives is hilarious. He's like, I can't believe this is happening. You guys don't know how to. I'm going to talk to somebody. You guys don't know how to get this off.
Yeah, like he didn't know the boot was on the ship.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's so good.
Yeah, so I mean, Lando was conning people just as bad as Han was conning people about having a ship. They're all playing each other, which is part of the fun about it, part of the charm of the characters too. And again, I guess the most disappointing part of that dynamic in this film is like we've only scratched the surface of it because we never got another movie or another show with them in it to kind of more fully explore their relationship with each other. But there's so much fun playing off each other, and I love that they're sort of adversaries. They're sort of, they're just kind of going after each other. Lando with a quick, cunning wordplay, and Han being Han, just kind of blunt and over the head about everything.
Keep your eyes on your cards. All of them.
All of them. Yeah, and obviously Han's, you get the moment where you see the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and again, all the iconic stuff's happening.
Yeah, and it looks great.
It looks great. It's so white. It's so pearly white and new. So clean.
Yeah, it's got that escape pod in it.
What's Han been doing?
Not cleaning it.
Not cleaning it. Get a cleaning droid. I bet there's a droid that'll do that for you.
Yeah, but when you're running drugs, you don't got time to keep a tiny ship. You just got to deliver the drugs.
So I was gonna say maybe it's all just spice stains on the wall. It's like tobacco. Been a lot of parties on that.
I just don't think he's a great housekeeper.
No, not so much.
There's probably like fur everywhere.
But when you don't have all those capes draping the corridors anymore.
I love the cape room,
The cape room.
so much. I love the fact that Lando just has a cape room.
And how do you feel about this sort of this idea, this notion of Lando as a pansexual being? Like there's no gender or species that's off limits to the man.
I mean, have you seen them? I get it.
I get it too.
I get it.
Getting down with droids, getting down with everybody. I mean,
I don't understand how the droid works. I'd like to know more.
Well,
like, can I click that "Do you want to know more" button from Starship Troopers?
Listeners of your podcast will not be surprised to hear you say that.
It's pretty on brand for me.
Anyone who hasn't checked out the Co's G podcast, there's been a lot of robot love talk.
I mean, I like robots. Who doesn't? I like sci-fi. I like robots. I like aliens too.
You like L337? Is you like the cut of her jib?
She's a little too militant for me. She's always like yelling about this robot stuff, robot this, robot that.
So
she reminds me a lot of HK-47.
Sure, from Knights of the Republic video game. Yeah.
I have a feeling we're all just kind of meat bags to her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's who she reminds me of the most. And it kind of endears her to me because she's her own thing. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to please us. She kind of hates us and just puts up with us.
Right. You can't order her around. She wants to be asked.
In the book, she's super protective of the Falcon and how she's the only one who flies the ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't fly. Don't try it.
Don't try it. Don't fly it.
She'll mess you up.
Well, this is a very pro droid podcast. So
yes.
You've heard. I love talking about droids as slaves of the Republic.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's bad. Every time you mention the clone army and being a slave, I'm like, oh, that's depressing, but that's accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah, I sort of love these ideas that and again. I feel like in the last years, and it's not just Star Wars, it's other science fiction as well. Like they've been doing such a great job exploring the idea of droid / AI life, and in Star Wars, Star Wars may have been the originators because like those droids are imbued with so much personality that you can't help but think of them as like a living being, right? So having L337 be this like advocate for droids' rights. I don't know. It just strikes this chord with me that I just love so much.
Yeah.
And so when she's screaming "revolution" in the Spice
awesome.
Ones of Kessels, I'm like, hell's yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of it.
I do like how it was just on a whim where she's like, "Just get away from me, RU unit. Go free your brothers. Do something about it."
No, fantastic.
It's how it is in the book. Also, it's hilarious.
It's incredible. It's a great performance by a really talented. Writer, actor, and a person who knows nothing about Star Wars and had no idea what a droid was when she was offered the part. So,
really,
no. Phoebe Waller-Bridge has said that she had never even seen Star Wars, so she had no idea what a droid was. So she just went in and auditioned the way she normally would, and they're like, "That's fantastic, we love it."
She's never seen a Star Wars.
I mean, she's English. What are you gonna do?
They don't have it over there?
Hey, man,
she's English. What are you talking about? Like, half the people in the movie are English.
People make choices in life. Maybe she's more of a Jane Austen person. I don't know. Maybe she's more of a Trek fan. I don't know.
Oh, all right. You're winning me over here.
Maybe she doesn't...
Why does it have to be one or the other?
Maybe
That's
she
what
knows,
I don't get.
Well, maybe she knows more about positronic matrices and stuff like that.
I mean...
More of a Dr. Sung fan.
Oh, hit me up on Twitter. Let's talk.
I bet she's more of a Whovian, really. She probably knows about Daleks and Cybermen.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. She's the doctor with the scarf. She likes that one. I get it.
See? But yeah, and again, one of those things, the first time I saw it, I thought was like, oh, this is one of those things that's too much. When L337 starts getting shot and destroyed coming out of Kessel, coming out of the Spice Mines, and they decide to incorporate her into the hyperdrive, I was like, really? I need the quirkiness of the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive explained to me? But subsequent viewings, as I've more and more fallen in love with this movie, I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's do this. Let's get into it.
The books really go into it more.
Yeah, I've heard there's like a whole chapter or something where it's her Matrix trying to figure out how to cohabitate with the ship.
If she wants to keep going
And learn how
as
to
the ship.
Yeah, because she has to take orders basically from the captain, right?
Yeah, and basically be a servant.
Right.
And the Falcon's like, it's not so bad. We get to see a lot of places. They take great care of us.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna merge into a Mass Effect style,
Right. Super AI kind of thing.
New being. Yeah. And I really liked it in the book, but I was like, oh man, this is sad in a way because L3 knows that she's dead and she's trying to figure out what happened.
Well, right, and again, she's advocating for droids' rights basically, and being their own individuals and making their own choices, and now she's gonna have to kind of be subservient if she wants to continue existing. I mean that's kind of heartbreaking.
And the Falcon convinces her to join. She's like, look how much Han cares about the ship and how much Lando cares about the ship. That's what it's about. And so she joins.
That sounds very interesting. I can't wait to check that out at some point.
Yeah. I was like, this is so sad that LV is like, basically this floating lifeless thing right now.
Yeah.
Thinking about, do I want to go into the darkness or lose who I am and become a whole different identity? Like LV or L3 is gone.
Right.
And it's
right.
just the Millennium Falcon now.
Right.
Like, it's not the way it's done in the movie. You just think the Falcon's brain is L3.
Right.
And it's not.
It's not. It's more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like it being L3. On either way you watch it, it's fun.
No, it does sort of change your the way you look at, when you go back and watch A New Hope and Empire and Jedi even, it sort of changes the way you view the Falcon, because you're like, oh wait, now I know like a central component of the ship, because I really like this character from Solo now, and it kind of changes the way you look at it. But if you had told me like, hey, check this out, when you go see Solo, you're gonna get the origin of the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive computer, I'd be like, what?
And be like, I don't need that.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do I care about that? Like, I love Star Wars, but that seems a bit much.
All right, I want to throw something at you. So whenever Han or Lando's saying, it's not my fault in Empire, they're really yelling at LV?
That's what it sounds like.
Like, they're like, oh my God, it's her screwing us again.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like the Empire did muck about with the repairs. The system can only do so much.
Yeah.
But Lando does like that line a lot. It's not my fault, and
Good line.
One of my favorite moments. It's far too brief a moment, but I love Lando recording like his biography.
Oh, love it.
It fills me with so much delight. I love how just in love with himself he is in this movie. It's amazing.
You don't think that's going to be the show? Is how that's going to start? It's going to be chapter 907.
It has to be.
Yeah, but I want to, like, he's never released this book, but he's on chapter 3008.
I'm so excited.
Of a book that's never going to come out or be released.
Right. And
it's just something he's been doing for 40 years. Then the story will be done. Oh my! We wrote it. Like, hire us.
Yes, 1,000%. I actually want dueling stories because I want to see Billy D doing stuff too. I want sort of like parallel times that sort of intersect at a certain point with like a past threat in the present or whatever.
Billy, like, as someone who's watching a show with an aging star,
I understand. Billy's old.
Billy, like, I want Billy to keep healthy, keep safe. I want you around.
CGI will take care of everything. CGI Billy.
Oh, we're getting back into the de-aging stuff again.
I'm just kidding. No.
I mean, also, I want to get Billy paid. So, yeah, put Billy in this.
No, Billy's got to be in this. And I hope that once Donald Glover's done melting our brains on the new seasons of Atlanta, that this is the next project. Oh, my God. I can't,
great show. Like, blowing my brain.
I can't even with Atlanta. I mean, that show's just, it's a different level. It's like
kind of
three
makes
different
me
levels.
angry how smart he is. And
right, except he's a super nerd and loves Star Wars, so he's the best.
I love him. It's just, I know I'll never be anything like that. It's so. We'll talk about Atlanta on another podcast.
Yes, 1,000%.
It's great.
But
If you're not watching
it's phenomenal.
get out there right now.
Yeah, it does make you feel a little bit inferior that you can't come up with anything half as creative.
Yeah, I mean, the guy with the Nando's in his house, I was like, you can do that? I love Nando's.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't even right now. You're gonna get me just so far distracted. Oh my, yeah. But I mean, the way Donald Glover works is just the way he sees things is just off the charts. So him being Lando is incredible. So more of that, please make it happen. Whatever this Lando show is going to be, let Donald kind of call the shots on it because I bet he's going to do it right. It's going to be, let him have the vision, right? Let him think outside the box.
Yeah.
Let's see Star Wars do something different.
Do something different.
Yeah. I think that show would thrive. And it would bring a lot of new people to Star Wars too if you let Donald just be like, "Hey Donald, do your thing with Lando."
And if they want to do more Harrison Ford, more Han Solo, eek. A Chewbacca story, I'm fine. I'd watch a whole show of just Wookiees running around talking to each other.
Oh my god, yeah. And again, a little off base here, but like, if they were to do something like Lando, and you have the two timelines with Billy D doing something and Donald doing something, I wouldn't be mad if you gave Han Solo one more hurrah, or Harrison Ford one more hurrah as Han Solo with Billy. That would make me very, very happy.
Seeing them together would also make me happy.
Yeah. As
long as they're just sitting around a sabacc table and Billy starts telling the story. And it's just 5-10 minutes throughout this.
I still physically hurt when I watch the Force Awakens and I get to see Han Solo stabbed by his son. It makes me so upset.
I like the scene a lot.
It makes me
I know
upset.
there's something I need to do. I don't know if I love it.
No. Don't get me wrong. The emotional impact is there, but watching like one of your childhood heroes get gutted by his son is too much.
Shed a tear in theaters next to my wife? Of course I did. I'm human.
I still do. Luckily, my wife won't watch me do it anymore. The dogs do though, and they're like, "What is this guy doing? Let's lick his face. That'll distract him." So yes, I guess I want to say Donald Glover as Lando is one of the highlights, and I wish he had more to do.
Absolutely.
So phenomenal. Let's talk about one of Han Solo's iconic moments. This is it. We see it. The Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Awesome.
They finally explain it to us. We obviously, it's not a distance of time. It's a distance of measurement or whatever. Did I say that right?
It's not.
I think Lucas's mistake was that he thought it was a measurement of time, and it's actually a distance of measurement, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it's a certain amount of ground to cover, not
it sounds cool in Star Wars, nerds. Relax.
Right. So we get to see it. We get to have it explained. I really like the sequence. I wasn't sure if they were going to pull it off because we've seen it talked about in the old EU. They answered this a couple different times. So
doesn't Jana run it faster?
You want to bring up Jana? Seriously?
I mean, guys out there, if you don't know, there's a Jana and Jason Solo,
and they're
who are the twins,
and they have now been deleted.
Deleted. Well, only one got deleted. Two of them were taken care of before the series ended. R.I.P. Anakin.
Anakin and Ben. Sorry, Anakin and Jason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Darth Tyrannus, right?
No, that's Darth Tyrannus is that's Dooku.
That's Dooku.
Yeah.
What was his Darth? What was Jason's?
Cadus.
Yes.
Not nearly as cool as Tyrannus.
No, I've made something cooler.
You tried to promote him.
I did. Hey, good books though. Those are good books.
Those are good books. They're fun. A lot of Mandalorian stuff in there, so I dig it. But yeah. So does the Kessel Run live up to your expectations? Again, this is the moment.
Absolutely.
L337's dying. Lando's a little bit preoccupied. Han takes control of the Falcon for the first time. It's love at
Chewie
first
in
sight.
the co-pilot seat.
Not at first though. Not at first. It's Kira who doesn't know how to do anything.
Get them all killed.
It's gonna get them all killed because she doesn't know how to turn the shields on. And Chewie stepping up to the plate. It's that sequence to me brings it all together. Like I'm having a good time before this, but now I'm like, oh, I'm watching Star Wars, and I'm so effing happy.
Of the Han and Chewie thing, it's probably my second favorite new breed when they get back on the Falcon in Force Awakens, and it's like Chewie, we're home. Like if you don't get goosebumps, you're a monster.
Oh, tears in the eyes. I mean,
Yeah, that, and then the first time Chewie sits down and he's like, "You're how old?
you look great."
Right, and then they just go, and you're like, "Yes, I get. This is what we want."
Yeah, and you're seeing like an older Falcon with different style controls. You know, you got like those weird cranky steering wheel things they got going on, and it's such an exciting sequence. I mean, him flipping the switches, getting everything going, clearly knowing what he's doing, and just being at home right away. Like he and the ship are like simpatico at this point.
Yeah,
and then Chewie just rounds out the triplet set. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Like
I know. It's a dream team. The dream team's together.
Yes. It's 92 Barcelona. Here we go. Yeah. Let's go. Let's win some gold.
Charles Barkley, hammer time. Let's hit it.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, and then rocketing through the Maw, and you got the Imperial Star Destroyer coming in at them, filling up that whole void.
Shot
so great.
So great.
Yes.
When it's just the Star Destroyer, and Han's like, "Don't worry, I flew with these guys.
They're not firing any TIE fighters at us. They're not gonna waste them." Then just TIE fighters everywhere.
And it's always a great thing about Han is just when he's wrong about something immediately. It's it's coming, and it's always going to be amazing.
Well, and then
that chase is awesome.
And then they leave that little passageway. They go into like the unknown section, which again on brand for Han. We've seen him go into asteroid fields, so why not go into like this gaseous void of colliding planets and meteorites and all these other things going on? Like, why not? It makes sense.
He's the best. That's why.
He's got the sweet move with the landing gear. The blow up the TIE fighters in pursuit.
Yeah, that flea from Back to the Future showed him. I get it. I got that Needles reference.
And the turret guns. One gun.
Yeah.
They're not quads. You know, the ship has not been upgraded properly under Lando's care.
Like Han takes care of that. He's like, we barely got away.
Yeah.
First, I'm putting some guns on this. I'm a drug runner now. I need guns.
You and the drug runner aspect.
I just like to try to sweep it under the rug. I know what you were, space pirate.
You really want Star Wars Vice to be a show.
That would be pretty entertaining.
It would be pretty entertaining. Get Michael Chiklis on that? Come on.
Oh. Hey, is he part of the New Republic?
The corrupt New Republic.
Oh, of course.
Walton Goggins? Bring them all. Let's do this.
Bringing Lemansky back and Ronnie.
Lemon.
Poor Ronnie.
Lemonhead. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Old Lem. Oh, he's going to die again with another grenade in his lap. Oh.
Spoilers, man. Somebody might not watch The Shield 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
I was going to say 10? That's generous.
Look, if you know me about TV, it all seems like it happened yesterday.
The way our brains work, it was yesterday.
It's mush. But watch The Shield. It's fun. Or, don't watch The Shield. Just watch We Own This City coming to HBO, I think, next week.
I don't know what that is.
That's The Shield, but the Baltimore cop version that the guy who did The Wire's doing.
Oh.
I'll send you a trailer for it. It's Bernthal. It's The Punisher.
As someone who considers like Baltimore like a big part of his upbringing, which is I'm talking about myself and you as well.
Yeah, me as well.
Baltimore doesn't have a good look on TV. Between Homicide: Life on the Streets, The Wire, and then now this show,
all written by the same guy.
No, how does Baltimore get tourist dollars? That's the real question. Because who would want to go there after watching these shows?
Cal Ripken. Mike Messina.
Even Andre Brower's like, I'm not going back there. I did Homicide for 8 years. No thanks.
Yeah, they don't make it look great, but the Inner Harbor, it's pretty good. They got the Horseshoe Casino now.
By the way, did you just drop Mike Messina's name on this podcast?
I did.
You're fired. No more. At least he didn't say Greg Olson. Oh, well.
I did. I mentioned him on a previous Coach G, though.
We are way off track. I don't even know.
Rick Sutcliffe, Ben McDonald.
I don't even know how
Sidney
we got
Ponzone.
Here. Where are we? All right, Joe Orsolak, calm down.
I love Joe Orsolak. Mike Devereaux.
Oh my God. The Kessel Run, something about it. A hyperfuel coaxium injected into the engine. So this is when we get Beckett doing the surgery on the hyperdrive.
Yeah,
or whatever.
the injection.
Hold on, actually, let me back up real quick. The creature that lives in the maw, That's kind of fun.
Yeah. What is that? No one knows.
No one knows. We've only barely. Star Wars doesn't really do that very often.
No.
Rebels they had like the space whales kind of thing.
I'd
Whoa.
Hate them.
Whoa. Oh, you're
hate force-sensitive animals.
You're only mad because of what they did to Thrawn.
Well, don't like that either.
Yeah, that's why you're mad.
But I don't like it. The force-sensitive like wolves that are all over that show. Honestly, force-sensitive animals ruined Rebels for me. I know it's controversial.
That is controversial. That is a different podcast. So I am going to put a pin in that for another time because in my opinion you're just wrong. But we can talk about that later. but yeah, the creature of the mob.
Whales saving the rebellion is better.
Oh my goodness gracious!
all right, I'll let it go.
Hey, Star Trek guy. This is all your show does. All your show does is hang out with space whales. Get out of here.
How dare you, sir? Like you're not one. You know what? Double it on you, man.
Well, if anyone's not aware of it, this podcast is off the rails, but that's why we're doing it for May the 4th. Because this is when we get nuts about Star Wars. Like, why not? This is our day. Let's get nuts.
All right, let's get nuts.
Michael Keaton style. Smash a vase in your fireplace. I'm mixing all the metaphors today. It's all good. If Michael Keaton were in Star Wars, who would he be?
Now? or like 89 Michael Keaton?
You pick.
89 Michael Keaton is definitely a rebel. I think Michael Keaton now is a little imperial.
He's Darth Bane. He's Darth Bane. That is the correct answer.
Oh, I would like to see him as a Darth Bane.
Yeah, come on.
Actually, in the books, I can't think what the name of the guy is who leads the Sith Academy. That's basically like in charge of the Brotherhood, and Bane ends up murdering him because he's not strong enough.
Right, I can't remember now either.
He's like, you took your power because you got 30 guys to beat one dude.
Right.
That's a dumb way to do it. You weakened yourself. It should be the rule of two.
Right.
So like he would be that guy, like smarmy, but eventually be taken out. That's who I can't remember what the character is. Doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Well, listen, I think we agree Michael Keaton should be in Star Wars. So
yeah, I mean everybody should be in Star Wars. Give me more Star Wars.
All right, well, let's get to the next part of Solo. we make the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. We land on Savareen. We're going to refine the coaxium because, again, we didn't really say it, but once you take the coaxium out of the spice mines of Kessel, God, we didn't even talk about the pikes. This is the first time we see the pikes in real life.
First time seeing the pikes in live action.
Yeah, that was great. I love the pikes.
Awesome.
Kira does the Tiras Kasai, which is a super deep cut. Like, I still have that video game for my PlayStation. Like the Star Wars fighting game.
Oh, wait, not the one that came out with around Phantom Menace?
No, this is well, maybe it was around Phantom Menace.
That's the one with the Django cast?
It might be. It might have Django cast in it, yeah.
That's the PlayStation only one. I forget what.
Yeah, it was PlayStation only. It was Tiras Kasai, yeah.
But they had another fighting game after Phantom Menace came out.
Like it was like Star Wars wanted to get in on like the Street Fighter Mortal Kombat game.
As they should.
They wanted that action. And so they came with the Tiras Kasai fighting style, which had all of our favorite characters in a fighting game, which was insane. Mm-hmm. And then they bring it in, and like it's this skill set that Kira has to easily defeat this pike.
Yeah.
I
like how L3 is just like, whoa.
So great. Yeah, I mean, again, we sort of even skipped the escape from Kessel because, again, we're seeing the Spice Mines of Kessel for the first time. That's important. That's a big deal.
It's something that in the EU felt like it was referenced every 30 seconds.
Right. Well, I mean, and Han had to work in the Spice Mines in the EU, too. The Millennium Falcon crashed there one time.
It's great to see it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And, again, it's also, obviously, we talked about it in the past, a great kind of, like, nod to Dune. To have spices like this, the illicit substance of the Star Wars universe. Lucas giving a little homage to Frank Herbert in his works.
Very cool.
To see the Kessel for the first time, to see the slaves there, all that stuff, the Wookiees that are being enslaved there, the stuff with Chewbacca is awesome. Like you talked about it, about the moves he makes, the power drives, all the stuff.
He chooses not to go off with the other Wookiees and to stay with Han.
Yeah. And Han, who has to complete the mission, is, they break off at a certain point, and even Han's like, well, here, take this and go, let your people out of here.
It's beautiful.
It's great. It's so good.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Come on. I know your brother's rolling his eyes at us right now, but I don't care. He's dead inside.
He loves this movie.
Oh, good. Never mind that.
He loves this movie.
Ryan, I apologize.
Yeah. I believe both my brothers and we love this movie.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So glad to hear that. All right, so now we can get back to Savareen, though, and this is the moment where, again, you and I are kind of agreed that we don't like how so much stuff has to kind of be tied back to the rebellion and to like the main conflict of the OG trilogy. But this is where Infant's Nest reveals themselves and sort of like their plans to overthrow the Empire. We hear the whole story about Infant's Nest and the people who had their tongues cut out and the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, it works. I get it. And again, my stance has definitely softened over the years.
Yeah.
And again, this is the moment where, Han sort of shines. And it goes back to what Kira said earlier in the movie about how she secretly knows that Han, despite all he wants to be, is not, is actually the good guy. He's actually the hero.
Yeah.
And
you're not a villain.
Yeah. So you tie a little bow around that. You're going to do the double cross against Voss. But Beckett's going to try and double cross you at the same time. All the elements are there.
I love his double cross where he's like, I want to be the only guy with a gun when I do my thinking. I get it. It's a great line and it's delivered perfectly.
Yeah, I don't know how much you want to get into like the final act of it all because, again, it's a lot of moving parts. But I think the third act really lands. Other than my little gripe about like, we have to connect everything to the rebellion. But whatever. Fine. If that's the card you want to play, then play them. Because this works in a lot of different ways. Our characters come out better for their experiences. And again, they tease so much good stuff, too. But the whole thing with Beckett is fantastic. Again, the way he sort of shows up as Voss's like inside informant kind of guy, that they're about to do this double cross, but Han sort of anticipated all of it because that's actually the coaxium in there. It's not fake. Yeah. It's great.
It's great. It's fantastic. The Kira heel or face turn with the sword is great. I love the final fight. I love the Infant's Nest reveal that it's like the tongueless.
Yeah, it's the townspeople,
mine workers or refinery workers, and they take out his whole crew. And you see like Warwick Davis makes a cameo.
Yeah.
One of Saul Guerrero's guys from there. Rogue One is there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
you're like, oh, did you get off that planet? Or wait, no, that's not before this. You go to that planet. That's. I remember thinking about it in the theater. Wait, did you live through that, or did you go there to die? And I was like, oh, you went there to die.
There is a great moment before we get to like the all the big stuff at the end when Infant's Nest is revealing themselves, where Han's trying to bluff them that they have all these like soldiers on the ship, funny. And when he snaps his fingers, they're all going to come out and take out Infant's Nest. Instead, Lando just flies the ship away, and then he just backs up and is like, "Never mind, you do your thing."
Yeah, Woody just shakes his head. But I just love to think of Lando looking out the window and be like, "Oh, those guys have guns." Nope. Mount just flies away. He's like, forget that money.
Well, because I mean, we didn't, when they land on Savareen and Han's, obviously at this point he's madly in love with the ship, and Lando's all bandaged up, and he's like, I'm gonna be on my ship, in my quarters, waiting for my cut.
Yeah,
and it has no time for Han anymore. He's like, I'm over this, dude.
Yeah, I'm over everything. Like, L3 is dead. He got shot saving what was trying to save her.
Yeah, I really think this third act sings. Like it's really good. It's
very good.
It hits on all the levels. You got the confrontation. Voss gets killed, obviously, and then but Kira, Han doesn't get the girl. Kira's got her own plans. Like we've known this all along. Han's been warned about this all along. Beck has been telling the entire time. Like you don't know her. You don't know her. You don't trust her. I forget the one thing. He's like Han says like, well, maybe you don't know her at all, and Beck is like, well, maybe you don't know her well enough. And like that's a great exchange between the two characters about Kira. And again, like we talked about earlier with Han, just thinking that everything's the way it was 3 years ago. And so it all pays off here.
Yeah, it's so great to watch that ship just take off,
right,
and just go away.
And Han's like, "What the f?"
Yeah, And then he immediately shoots.
And then the standoff with Beckett. And
Yeah.
again, showing that Hans learned. He was paying attention
Yeah.
the entire time. But I love how he runs over to him at the end. And he's
Yeah.
with him there for his final moments. Because, he respects the guy at the very least. Like, he knew he was going to get double-crossed. It's really great moment.
It's who he is. I wish they had set up, like, Beckett shooting people first. So, it's something that he learned from.
Well, more importantly, it sets up Han shooting first.
Yes, of course. Because Han definitely murders Greedo in that bar.
1,000%.
Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
There's not that awkward, like, shift to the side that you have to,
McClunky.
McClunky now. I'm fine with McClunky. Like, I know people get really upset about it. I was like, it's still worse.
It's
Like,
still,
it doesn't matter
worse.
what they put in after. It's still worse. The way Han Solo jerks to the side when the bullet or the blaster goes off looks bad. It's always looked bad.
I listened to enough Star Wars podcasts that are put together by really wonderfully talented people, but who are also very much younger than me, and they don't have nearly the problems that our generation has with it. And whatever, that's cool. I'm glad. Hey, listen, we're all liking Star Wars. That's all that really matters at the bottom line.
That is true.
But I still love my OG Han shooting Greedo first, no questions asked.
Yeah, made him a badass.
He's such a badass.
Also, Greedo was gonna murder him.
He was gonna murder him. I mean, the gun was on him. It was right there on the table.
Yeah, like, that was not going any other way.
No. There was a bounty on his head at that point. Like, Han had a price on his head. Which, is, by the way, is another great element of this movie we haven't talked about. Han learning how to live with a price on his head. Beckett's talking about it, how hard it is. And again, the Han we meet in New Hope, been living with a price on his head probably for a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's just getting higher and harder to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, he's telling Jabba he's going to make it up to him. He's like, I got you, boo. Don't worry.
Yeah, and he's got the crates of money. He's got the cash.
It's on hand. It is.
He's got all of Bail Organa's money.
Oh, from a dead planet. So sad.
Those are the last Alderaan credits that are ever going to be sent out on that planet.
Do we ever know what Han does with that money? Has that ever been revealed? Does he give that to like some
I think he gives it back
orphanage
to
for Alderanian children or something?
No, I think he funds it back in
to the rebellion.
To the rebellion when he comes back. They're like, we'll give you a medal.
This will pay for those medals you guys got.
Yeah, they're not free. I mean, this money is going to pay for 2 medals.
Two medals, not 3. Chewbacca will get yours when you're dead.
But we'll clean your droids.
We'll clean your droids. That's the least we can do. It's the least we can do.
They're going to look real shiny.
Yeah, exactly. But so the movie ends with a great hope, and it's a great note, I should say. And then we catch up with Lando because Han's got to get himself a ship, right?
Yeah.
Don't know how Han and Chewie get to this planet, but they do. They get there.
Where's the hot game at?
And
L3 is like, oh, I know, because she knows everything.
Yeah, I guess but they don't have the ship.
Oh, that's true. All right, that's a wrinkle.
Come on.
That's a pretty big wrinkle.
My thoughts are tracking here.
Space Force sensitive whale, and that whale was like, "Don't worry, I'll take you to the sabacc game.
Jump into my mouth if you want to live."
Yeah.
That's from Finding Nemo. Okay. Anywho, they get there. It's cool. It's fun. We have a card game. They know Lando's got a card up his sleeve, so they take the card out of his sleeve.
Yes, but he does the fake punch thing.
Yes.
From Empire.
Right. Like they're mad at each other.
And does the hug.
Yes.
It's a great little folded in callback.
It is. It's so good.
And it works. And then, it gets him the card.
And you get the card game. No, okay, so hold on. I had one question. And again, this is me and you living in the old EU days.
Uh-huh.
So I understand they have to change things. And it's a movie. And maybe it's a little bit more, it's a card game that no one knows how to play, really. Unless you paid a lot of attention to the old EU where they really explained it.
Yeah.
My recollection was back in the day, there was a card called the Skifter, which could change.
Yes.
They seem to have not done that in this version, right?
I believe so. I believe the Skifter is dead because now it's just the green whatever.
The Psylocke or whatever.
Right, the green Psylocke that gives you the Idiot's Array.
Right. Yes.
That is all from old EU canon. Like the idiots are raised the best thing.
Yeah, and straight Sabak and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no Skifter card anymore.
It was
which
also
was
the
like
most confusing card game.
Well, I mean, because the Skifter was completely random, right? Like you tapped like
Yeah.
the corner of it, and it would be like any card in the deck or whatever. So like it worked in
Yeah,
your favor.
one of
It
the
would,
four
it would blow up
corners.
your entire hand. So like so I was like, okay, so the Skifter's done, but I still want a Sabak deck. I still want to learn how to play this game because like this is how you entertain your friends at a dinner party.
Wait, you don't want to play Pazik?
Pazik?
What's the one from the old Knights of the Old Republic? That card.
Oh, that
game.
was Pazik. You're right.
Yeah, it's Pazik. Yeah.
I mean, I played Dejarik if I knew I had a hollow chess table, but I mean, I don't. So, and I ain't,
One day though.
I ain't playing with the figurines. I'm not. You
Oh,
know.
I can't wait till you bring that thing home for your wife to see. She'll be like, "You spent how much money on a chess set?"
Exactly.
But it's got monsters in it.
Monsters, they're alien species. They're
Oh.
people.
Are they? That one that's like, "Roar," and-
We respect all sentient life on this podcast.
all right. I thought they were supposed to be monster pieces, but okay.
Do you have
I'm
any?
just saying, she's gonna rip your arms off. You think a
That's-
Wookiee's mad?
I am married to the smallest Wookiee on the planet.
I can't wait till you spend $4,000 on a chess set.
She does have the strength of 10 Wookiees behind her, that's for sure. And 2 very tiny dachshunds who will lick up all the blood.
Yeah, no evidence.
No, exactly. I'll just bleed out in the shower. No one will know. I don't know what else I have to say about Solo. I mean, this is just a great.
Darth Maul showed up.
Oh, we
at
didn't
the
talk
end
about
of
Darth
it.
Maul. You're right. We didn't talk about
Darth
Darth.
Maul showed up, and we're like, "Oh,
So
okay."
So I don't know if you had the same reaction I had in the theaters, but as someone who's watched like the Clone Wars
Yes,
and everything that's
I
going
did.
on, I was like, and everyone's like, again, I'm not. It's again, this movie did not do amazing over financial dollars. Again, it did really, really well.
It did very well for
Yeah.
a movie. Yes.
Yeah, it made lots of money, just apparently not what they thought they were going to make from it. But I was in a theater that was moderately full, and like I heard people around me sort of like gasping, like, "What? How is Maul alive?" And I'm like, "Watch a effing cartoon. I can
Well,
tell you how all this stuff happens."
Not to throw anybody under the bridge, but the woman who I'm related to by marriage
Oh, a TK podcast reference.
went to this movie with me and said, "He's dead, right?" And I said, "Baby, they brought him back in the show. Don't worry. I'll tell you about it. You're not going to care. He's alive again. He has robot legs."
Technically, he was never dead. Is really what
He went like crazy in the basement, and
Yeah.
they found him. They're like, "Here, have some spider robot legs." And he's like, "These are no good. I want regular robot legs." And he got those, and it's all good
And
for
they
a
brought
while.
Mandalore to his knees. Did you tell her
Yeah.
that part?
No, I stopped. You could see the eyes glaze over in some point, and you're like, "Oh, I should stop just berating them with Star Wars knowledge." I almost called it useless. It's not. I need it.
You need it.
I need it. That's why we're here. What am I talking about?
You know, I don't-
But yes, a lot of people were not aware that Darth Maul had been alive for years.
yeah.
In the Star Wars universe.
I don't want to say that I shrugged, but I was like, yeah. I was like, everyone's gasping. I'm like, yeah. Watch
I
the
didn't
show.
know he was going to be in the movie, but
No.
I was like, oh my god, did they bring Ray back? That's all I was concerned about, was that it was Ray Park again.
I mean, Ray's thirsty. He's looking for work.
Yeah. Well, let him be Darth
And
Maul.
by the way, a really nice guy. The one time I interacted
Yeah.
with him in real life, nice fella.
Was it around Toad, or was it around X versus Sever?
Ooh, gosh, I don't know. I mean,
Like,
he was in the Star Wars area of Comic-Con, so
Okay,
regardless of all
so
that,
it was probably around Darth Maul, but he was around Toad that same
It-
time.
yeah. I mean, it was
Yeah,
all
that
kind of
5.
together.
It was pretty good. He was in Sleepy Hollow. Like, he had a good run for a while.
He did. You know, he was just in town recently, doing a signing at a comic book store, and I was working
Oh,
that
awesome.
day. I was gonna go, but I was working that day, and I was like, well, shoot, that sucks.
Yeah.
that would've been
I'm
fun.
a fan of his, so I was happy that he was back in the outfit
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
makeup, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, between what he's brought to the role, and then I meant to double
Star
check.
Killer.
Well, I was gonna say I meant to double check because I thought Sam Witwer did the voice.
I think he did in
Yeah.
the movie. I can't remember now.
because Oh,
But that's exactly what I want Darth Maul to sound like now.
right. Well, I'm blanking on the name of the actor who did the voiceover in Phantom Menace.
It's Sean's roommate in Shaun of the Dead.
Exactly.
It's that actor.
Yeah, and I can't remember his name to save my life right now, but he's also in Guardians of the Galaxy and
One of a bunch of a-holes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
It
fantastic.
also does a very good Darth Maul voice.
but-
He has a great voice.
But Sam Witwer's Darth Maul is now my thing, and that's all I hear now when I hear
When you
Maul's
hear
voice.
Darth Maul yell, you don't hear Starkiller yell at the same time.
Listen, like you and I are gonna do.
They're the same person. Maybe that will be my new crazy theory. Is that Starkiller became Darth Maul because of Sith witches? Plays the spell on him.
Dathomir witches. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. See, I fixed it.
You know what you got to do? You got to challenge your brothers for next May the 4th in 2023. That between now and then they have to play The Force Unleashed, so that they can have a discussion about it.
My brother Rob has definitely played it, and he got me actually. Hold on. I know you can't see this at home.
Oh,
but it's a little Starkiller thumb drive.
Yeah, it came with the Force Unleashed too.
Came with the game. Yeah,
I have one too. You're welcome. You're not special.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Did you show it to me? No pic, no proof.
Fair. That's fair.
I mean, I got all my Star Wars stuff. Don't you worry about it.
Like getting back to the movie, yes, we find out that Crimson Dawn is in fact run by Darth Maul. Is he still a Darth at this point? Probably not. He's just Maul.
I mean,
he's just Maul.
I think he calls himself Darth Maul for a while, but he's just Maul at this point.
He's just Maul. But yeah, so we find out that, again, we're doing a lot of bobbing and weaving with some continuity that I love. I love kind of bringing that together. And again, more elements that I want to see played with in either a Disney Plus series or a second film. Give them to me. I'm ready. Sign me up. I haven't seen Star Wars in a movie theater in a long time now, and I miss it.
Yeah, I'd love to watch a Star Wars movie. Not this. I want this as a TV show so they can flesh it out.
I think the TV show is the way to go. The Disney Plus, and listen, I'm gonna be audacious here, but give me 10 episodes. Really let this thing breathe.
Yeah, movies should be more about a greater conflict.
Yeah.
A multi-world war, something like that.
Well,
that's what
especially because that seems to be what Star Wars cinematically is. And again, another reason why I sort of think this movie didn't do as well in the box office was because that impending doom, the galaxy at stake wasn't what was on the line in this one.
There's not a big
film.
battle scene.
Yeah.
There's a jailbreak.
Mm-hmm. It's a
And
heist.
there's that little Saving Private Ryan thing at the beginning.
Yeah. But
it's not that type of movie.
It's
and
not
that's
that type
why
of movie.
I think,
Again, it's not like the fate of the galaxy as we know it hinges on what Han Solo does. Which
Star Wars does not have to do that.
It does not have to do that every time. Thank you. Exactly. I agree 1,000%.
Let's just tell an interesting story.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the Andor series that's coming out. Just tell something interesting. We know how it ends for him.
Yes.
He has a romantic kiss on a beach.
And then is annihilated by the Death Star.
The Death Star, all that stuff. I mean, he goes through some other stuff. Like he loses his droid, his best friend.
Well, again, the period,
we'll talk about that movie another time. I'm sure.
I mean, the period between the prequels and the original trilogy is so fascinating to me. You can set 1,000 different shows that have a dozen different tones. You have the war story, you have the spy story, you have smugglers and crime lords, and everything in between. I mean, there's so many things you can get into. Just the average Joe trying to carve out an existence under the heel of the Empire is probably going to be an interesting story at some point. Yeah. Give me these, and those are the things that are perfect for Disney Plus.
Yes, and give them all to me. I want more shows, please.
More shows, please. And like I said, I think we're going to get some announcements in a few weeks.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Probably by the time you're listening to this, announcements have been made, and you're like, hey, guys, all this great stuff's happening. We don't know.
Well, again, maybe not, because, Celebration is not to the end of May.
Oh, you don't think they're going to announce something on the 4th?
I don't know. I think they just want you to buy toys on the 4th.
Okay, well, I'll do that too, but, I'll meet you halfway. Put out your hand, and let's get that Lando shake at the end of Jedi.
You know what, though? I think you just hit something really great there. Whenever Lando calls him hand, he should call him Londo. That's you nailed it right there. Perfect.
Londo.
Oh my God. No, I feel like every time May the 4th rolls around, I get up and find out that I missed out on like 75 things to buy off of Amazon or whatever.
Mm.
So again, I love May the 4th, but it's a bit commercial.
Yeah.
This podcast's free. No money required. That's how we
Unless
like
you want
it.
to be a Mando maniac.
Well, then you're going to get it early, but that's different.
But you get it early, you get some special stuff, and you get to become an elite member.
I mean, you get to hear
Like,
me get upset
if
about
you want to be a
Moon Knight.
stormtrooper, we're the ones with the stripe on the helmet, and you're like, oh, how'd he get that?
And you can also hear me or read about me renumerating about Mr. Knight not getting enough dew in Moon Knight in episode 2. How they did him dirty.
He'll be back. That outfit looks too great not to come back.
Oh, not to be covered in blood? Tell me about
Yeah.
it. Woo! All right, different topic.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about Solo you want to get out before we wrap this puppy up, buddy?
I've spilled my heart out. I love this movie. You guys should watch it, even if you didn't like it. Give it another chance. It's a lot of fun. And it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to fly by. This movie moves fast.
I agree 100%. As a person like Regan, when I left the theater, 5 years ago, or whatever it was, I wasn't in love with it. But once it hit streaming and I watched it more and more, I am completely obsessed with it. I am I'm a proud member of the hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen movement. Though I still want it on Disney Plus because again, like we said, let it breathe. Give me some space. Give me more and give me space.
Yeah, give me like a young Jabba the Hutt.
Oh my God, all of it. All of it.
Boba Fett being a bad guy.
Come on, show me where the bounty hunters like Han does something bad to get to piss off Dengar. Let's do this.
Yeah,
let's get into
Dengar
it.
or Sang.
Yeah, all of them. It's so ripe with potential. So yeah, if you didn't like this, and you watched it one time and you're like, it was fine. No, go back. This movie's aged really, really well in my opinion, and it would be a mistake to just think that one time was enough time just to see this, and you know the story now. No. You will enjoy this. You will go back to this. This will join your rotation of films to watch. It's great.
It's great.
It's all the buckets. It's all the things.
That's right. 10 buckets or 5 buckets. I forget how many buckets you give out.
I mean, the most I think I've given out is 10, but I'm willing to give 20
well,
for this
didn't you
movie.
the last episode you did? I mean, I was recording this a couple weeks ago. You gave it like 9.9 buckets. Like, you've shaved a little bit of a bucket off for no reason, really.
Only
just because you didn't want to give 10.
That's
you want
true.
to save that 10 for
later.
later.
Listen. there is one perfect episode of Star Wars television, and I know which one it is, and you probably can guess.
The holiday special.
How dare you?
It
has to do with space whales. No, I'm just kidding. But it is on Rebels, actually. The perfect Star Wars show is on Rebels. That one is 10. That's what a 10 is to me.
Oh, I think I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of close to 10s on Rebels.
There's a lot of close to 10s. There's a lot
Rebels
of close.
As much as I bagged on the space, but that show is great.
There's a lot of like really closes, and then there's one that's just no questions asked.
All right, well, we'll talk after the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. No spoilers on that. But
I'll wait till the Friday drops of Mandovision when he gets into Rebels in like 7 years.
Hey, we're gonna wrap up season 4 of Clone Wars in no time.
That's true. But you're going to get distracted by things. I guess you're going to go back to 2 days.
I'll talk to you later. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right.
After I turn this recorder off, we're don't worry. Don't worry
That's
about
right.
it.
You guys don't get to know.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on May the 4th. I look forward to hanging out with you on your podcast for May the 4th. It's going to be really, really exciting. So go check out Regan and his brothers on the CoSG podcast. Come on, it's still good. Regan, you got all your links ready?
I do.
Yay.
All up here, baby.
Do it.
It's at CoSGPod on Instagram and Twitter, and CoSGPod.com for our website. You can find out all the great stuff we're doing. Let's see, this is coming out in 2 weeks. You could go back and listen to an episode we did about Gattaca.
Oh my God.
Or if you're, it's baseball season, we just released an episode a couple weeks ago, Major League.
Only slightly offended I wasn't asked to be on that episode.
You were, but you got bumped for Star Wars. You're a Star Wars guy.
That's fair. All right, so listen.
Can't have you on every week.
Listen to his podcast and come follow me at Mando_Vision, and I'll refute everything they say on their show.
That's right. You could also come right over to our page. Actually, it's May the 4th, isn't it? we did Phantom Menace with Tom, so come check out Phantom Menace.
I guess that's true. Like it's happening. Now available.
Go check out Hakoshi Pod. We just dropped Phantom Menace.
Let's stop acting like we're recording this like 3 weeks early.
Duh. Sorry, sometimes the undefeated champ's a bit of a moron.
Well, you're like Goldberg. You're that kind of undefeated champ.
Oh no. I mean, I like the just burying people with the jackknife, but like, I'm gonna put my hand through a limo and be out for 6 months.
You got 2 moves. You got a spear and a jackknife powerbomb. That's it.
Yeah, and I say, who's next alive?
And you stick your tongue out.
Yeah, trust me, Tom. He's still doing that bit in 2022.
You do have the tribal tattoo.
I do.
All right, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you extremely soon. And gosh darn it, if these wonderful Mandovision listeners don't come over to hang out with you more often, I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know what they are either. Come on over, bathe with us. A boosh.
Bathe with us? That's weird.
What, bask in our glory? I don't know.
Oh, we're done.
We need to divert auxiliary power to the rear deflector shield.
We definitely do.
Since when do you know how to fly? 190 years old? You look great.
Chewie, get in. I'll help Mando.
There you have it, Mandovision Maniacs. Our special May the 4th episode dedicated to Solo, a Star Wars story. Perhaps one of the most underrated films of the Disney era thus far. And it's just a real delight to go back and watch this movie and have so much fun with it. In the subsequent time since recording the conversation with Regan, I did have a chance to go and listen to the audiobook of the adaptation and found it quite enjoyable. There's a lot of extra little fun little things in there. They sort of smooth out some plot questions you might have. It's like, oh, why are they doing this and why are they doing that? And you get a little bit more elaboration, a little bit more explanation on things. So if you get a chance, check out the audiobook. High quality stuff. Mark Thompson doing a great job with those audiobook adaptations. And of course, they'd have the score and all the music and the whole shebang. And it's really, really nicely done. Great production value on those. So I recommend them if you have the chance and the opportunity. I know exactly now what Regan was sharing with us. And I agree that they do add a lot of, they do add some nice depth to things. And sort of like that end cap, that little epilogue they do in the adaptation with Infin's Nest and Jyn Erso and Saw Gerrera. Again, if you're tied into the Rebellion, why not tie it into Rogue One too? Why not? Let's have a lot of fun with everything. So check that out when you get a chance. Really solid stuff. But yeah, this is a film that I have done a complete 180 on. I am one of the biggest supporters of this film ever. Now I just love it so darn much. And yeah, I still am in the camp that I want to see Solo 2 happen, whether it's a film, whether it's my preference would be a Disney Plus series, and we get to kind of explore more of Han as a smuggler, getting in good with Jabba, but again, bring in characters like Lando, bring in Boba Fett when he's a bounty hunter, make this universe really feel whole and lived in. It doesn't even have to center on Solo necessarily. Like you can do almost like an anthology kind of story, and then you kind of have all these plot lines come together at the end. I mean, I'm happy to write that. If anyone's got any connections, I will happily plot this all out for everyone. It would be a real treat, and everyone would have a lot of fun. And you would get so much Lobot in that story because you got to get some Lobot action early on. All right, you got to. All right, let's get out of here. This has been an extremely long episode of the show. I say that knowing that perhaps by May the 4th, I will edit some of this down. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this conversation. And as a special bonus show for May the 4th be with you, I suspect you will probably get the uncut version of our Solo conversation. And I hope you had as much fun with it as I did. Because, again, Regan's just a fun guy to talk Star Wars with. So, hey, right on. Let's go ahead and wrap the show up, though. Make sure you're following us on social media. We are at what are we at? Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. If you'd like to become a Mandovision Maniac, you can do so at patreon.com/Mandovision. You can join your fellow maniacs and gain access to sweet bonus content. Thank you to the Aspinall Jody, the Batman Abejo, Jeff Nail, Jeff's co-host in the Ring and Ear, a great music podcast to check them out. Thanks to Evil Circle, the evilest of all circles, the Squid Master General Mr. Brian Broussard, the New Jersey Devil Mark Wagamer, our very own Joker and Harley Quinn, Brian and Krista of Pariah Brewing Company, here in San Diego, and now in Baltimore, Maryland as well, the Beer Hop Brigadier General Jesus Beer Hops, the silent assassin, he who shall not be named, and Syndicate Ram, co-host of Come On, It's Still Good. I might have blown his cover. I think you know who it is now. The jig is up. But go check out Come On, It's So Good, a great movie podcast that you will be delighted by. So let's get out of here. Enjoy your May the 4th. I'm sure you're getting all kinds of sweet deals on Star Wars merch, and probably a billion podcasts are out today. And we're so happy and thankful that you chose to download and listen to this one. And we will be back very, very soon. The countdown to Kenobi has officially begun, and it's only a matter of time. And as we get ready for Kenobi, we are wrapping up season 4 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And yeah, it's a real treat to do that. So remember, we'll be back soon, and this podcast can only end one way. Oh, this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Just did the castle run in 12 parsecs. Not if you round down, buddy. Yeah.
She is a hell of a ship.
I hate you.
I know.
I'm gonna be on my ship, in my quarters, waiting for you to bring me my share. And then I don't ever want to see you again.
Never?